Okay, we are live. Welcome to the live stream, folks. Welcome to Josh from the Old Path Traveler channel and Baron from Red Baron Reviews. We are here to talk, to do have an honest discussion, as the title said, about Colt and the industry in general. Colt, maybe compare them to some other brands, stuff like that. But um, Josh, do you want to start us off? And
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having us, dude. We've talked
Yes,
offline a
thank
good
you.
bit, and
yeah,
it's been so much fun getting to know you guys beyond just an email thread. So it's been great.
absolutely.
Um, yeah. So I've been working on 1911s for about 13, 14 years, and I've owned several Colts. I've showed old pictures of them on some live streams and things like that, but I've worked on a good bit of them. And they've always been kind of just not great. However, they're still a Colt and they work and so on and so forth. And if anybody's watched my recent videos, I did a 5-part series where basically I got a brand new Colt. And it is without a doubt the worst firearm in terms of build quality, fit quality, materials. It's worse than every Rock Island I've ever worked on. It's very bad. We can go through the specific issues that I had with it if you want. But I just made an honest sort of series of videos saying, guys, this is not good. And I kind of concluded the series with excessive frame wear, under 500 rounds, going, I don't want to shoot this anymore. And so that. I don't know if that video series specifically brought us together, but I feel like we're all in that same boat. We're all having these experiences.
100%. Well, I'll tell you, just to break in here real quick, that's how I discovered Baron. Okay, I saw Baron's, came across my feed, and YouTube's been hinky with that stuff lately. That's a whole nother, but Baron came across my feed about talking about Colt, and he's showing his what is it called? It's the Cobra.
Retro Cobra.
Retro Cobra. Thank you, Baron. And I saw his video, and I'm like, good Lord, this man had exactly the same experience I have had with Colt, only with a revolver. My 2 revolvers that I have currently are great so far. But so I left a comment, reached out to him, and then we said, hey, man, we should do a live stream. He said he's spoken to you before. I was like, I am familiar with that dude's channel, got a lot of knowledge. Let's kind of get it together and let's talk about this. And how Colt has kind of screwed all 3 of us one time or another. So,
Yeah.
Baron,
And I kind of want to,
yeah,
well, I want to preface this by saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I speak for all of us that we all love Colt for what they represent in years past. And we're not trying to crap on the company. Hopefully this makes some positive changes. I highly doubt it, but we want Colt to be what it's supposed to be. And for me, that's regardless of cost. I don't know about you guys, but Colt to me growing up was the pinnacle of 1911s. And I'd like that to be that way again. And while I don't have necessarily the 1911 experience that you guys do with Colt, mine was absolute dog crap out of the box. And I spent a lot of time and money making it right. It's still not right, but it's better than it was. And my Cobra, 2 catastrophic major malfunctions that require sending back to Colt inside of 1,200 rounds, totally unacceptable. And before people just hop into this and assume we're going to just dog Colt, it's coming from a place of we looked up to Colt and we want it to get back to that.
Well, I told Josh this. I've said this several times on my channel. I look at Colt as my drunk uncle or a drug addicted family member. You look at him and you're like, you have so much potential and I love you, but you got to get off the dope. You know what I'm saying? We're trying. It's tough love. It's an intervention. We're trying to help you. We want to spend our money on your guns, take our money. But when you're rolling the dice, especially nowadays, I tell a lot of people, they say, listen, man, I really want a Colt. If it's, what's the old saying? It's either a Colt or it's a copy, right? That they used to have back then. So they like, I really want a Colt. But after seeing your videos, I'm scared. And I say, listen to me. If you can find one in a local shop that you can put your hands on, check this, and I give them a list or whatever. be very careful about buying them on the internet because you're rolling the dice. You know what I mean? And I still do it. I'm probably the dumbest Colt owner in the world because I still look at it and I go, roll the dice,
Yeah.
and then it comes up and I'm like, snake eyes. I got screwed again, Colt. Thank you. And some of it's to varying degrees. If you go through my videos, some of them will just be blemishes in the finish, which are unacceptable. Which at the minute I open the gun, I can go, whoa, at the gun store. And I'm like, good Lord. And some of them are mechanical, some are trigger issues. Some of them, it's just ridiculous, loose tolerances, crappy build quality, all kinds of stuff. And you look at it and you go, and I sit there and I go, I literally paid $299 for a TSOS GI, and it has none of these issues. And it works, and the trigger's awesome. And so what am I doing here? But there's that draw of Colt. It's still there.
Well, I want to echo what Baron said, that like, I'm very hard on Colt, and I have been, and I will continue to be. That said, if they started building 1911s right, and I'm talking, I don't need no bells and whistles. Mm-hmm. They can even just put out like a Parkerized, 1940s-ish GI 1911 and charge me $1,600 for it. If it's built the right way, like the stuff we got in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even up into the 90s, I'm jumping on it with both feet. Because we were talking about this before we went live, but like I firmly I love the history of our country. Mm-hmm. And you cannot tell the American story without the American gun. And specifically, you can't tell that story without two big companies, and that's Colt and Winchester. You just don't, you cannot do it. Our Civil War is tied to this brand. And so I have such a love for Colt and Sam Colt's story and his business prowess and the genius that he had of, he revolutionized modern manufacturing with his factories, right?
Yeah.
And so I agree. This is not, we hate Colt. This is Colt, be who we want. Be the company that your name, have the respect that your name commands, because right now they're slapping Pretty Blue on their firearms, putting the pony on there, and sending out abject junk. And that's the hard truth.
Yeah. Baron, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and with that, I am like you. I am willing to pay. If I have to sell 2 or 3 other 1911s, I will do it to get a Colt that's right, because I know it's going to last. I know it'll hold its value. But I think the Colts that are being put out now, I think the only value that they'll serve is if Colt goes under, and I mean under for good. They're going to be collectible because it was the last Colts made. Outside of that, I see zero monetary value in the Colts that are being produced today. It's just not there. Versus, I had a 1914 Argentinian contract. Gun was great. I enjoyed it for a little while. I enjoyed the chase on guns. Learned about it. Was able to find even what boat it went to and then sell it. And that gun is worth more than I sold it for now. But today's Colts, I don't think so. If they're new in the box and they go under, sure. But I don't think anybody wants that.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely not. Josh, before the live stream, Josh and I were talking about it. Colt's name still carries weight. To the people that aren't, call us guys like us gun autists or gun nerds, gun dorks.
100% accurate.
Dive into the weeds. If you're like me, you enjoy the mechanical aspect. Sometimes I'll sit there and I go and marvel at the genius of John Browning and go, how did he come up with this in the late 1800s into the early 1900s when it was accepted? You're like, this is pure genius. Just the mechanical majesty of that thing. It's amazing that he did it when he did it. So I marvel in that stuff. And Colt their name still holds weight. I'm telling Josh, I got a local shop in town. The lady's like, I've sold guns there before and stuff like that. And she's like, listen, if you ever want to get rid of any of your Colts, I got a phone call away. I got a list of guys in town. I just make the call and they will buy it sight unseen. They're Colt fanatics and stuff like that. You don't get that with the TSOS until you build a brand up. But we used examples talking earlier. Same thing with Canik. When Canik came out, people were like, they're junk. I'm not going to buy that. Turkish junk. And now look at them. Hollow Sun, the same thing. These brands take sometimes decades to build confidence into people, because when you don't have that name, that cash, that name, you can't immediately hit the top, you know. But I think nowadays Colt's just riding on that name, and that won't last forever.
100%. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
and you know, and a lot of us have discussed. I think when CZ bought him, I said that's when I started buying. Now I've owned Colts in the past. I owned an original 1911 that was made in 1918, and it was almost silver. The whole finish was gone. It was a beautiful gun. It was beat up. I used to shoot it
so
in
cool.
competition too, but I would shoot it with downloaded reloads, so I wouldn't beat the gun up, because those things are basically made of like butter metal, you
Yeah,
know, because they weren't heat treated properly
kind
and
of
all
like
that
the new
stuff.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So but after CZ bought him, I thought to myself, CZ makes great guns. And I've seen this before. I've seen comments on my channel. I've talked to people that have said, CZ, we thought Colt was going to turn it around, that CZ was going to come in there like a tornado and be like, oh, this is because they make Dan Wesson. And or they own Dan Wesson. And Dan Wesson makes some good guns.
Yeah.
So I thought they were going to come in there, clean all that stuff up, and Colt was going to start putting out great 1911s again. And all the modern ones I have purchased, which I think I'm up to 12 now. I have an older one that was made in 2000. They've just, almost all of them have been not right, you know. And like you said,
Well,
to the point, I have currently, I went and counted them, 19 Colt products, okay?
yeah.
13 1911s, 4 rifles, and 2 revolvers. Is
Yeah.
that 19? That's 19. So, and I love Colt. I
Yeah.
do. I wouldn't spend my money on them if I didn't. I don't spend my money on gun brands. I'm not very brand specific personally, but I don't
Yeah.
spend my money on gun brands that I don't really like.
Yeah.
So it just, no Colt, no hate on Colt here. All love, trying to
Yeah.
get them to put out a product that is worthy of America and American workers, you know?
Well, that
Well,
is. Oh, go ahead, Baron.
Well, I was going to say, and with that, I guess we could probably briefly touch on our experiences with the issues we've had, because all of our issues are vastly different. Like, there's
Yeah.
no real rhyme or reason or like one specific thing. And when we get done with that, I'll kind of give, just from talking to their customer service, my feedback on why I think that is. But like, my issue with my 1911 Combat Commander 9mm, I do have a shop, but I paid full retail because they're out of stock or allocated. I had to drive almost an hour to go pick this up at another shop. And right out of the box, sloppy grip safety, trigger was awful. It's still like 8.5 pounds after a bunch of work. What else? The fitment's no good. Like, it'll constantly push up and down if you push on the barrel, even when it's in battery. The bushing fitment's not right. It's just, it's gross is what it is. And I intended to replace all of those parts that are MIM with Wilson Combat parts. So I kind of knew that going into it, but still that's unacceptable. Like, I look at it through the eyes of my customers. If I'm going to spend my money on this gun, what am I getting? And in this case, it was complete and utter junk. Now, it was accurate, or not accurate, sorry, it was reliable. Accuracy wasn't so great. But outside of the reliability, like, it's just junk. Like, you could spend, like you said, $300 on a teat sauce, way better. And then my Colt Cobra is the gun that I just want to love so much. When Kimber first came out with the K6S DASA, I had a deal where I could buy it at cost so that my buddy would get that gold label program. It's just discounts if you buy Kimber in volume. And so I had a sweet deal on one of those Kimbers. And when I went up to buy it, I actually spent more on the Retro Cobra when I saw it in the case, because I'm like, yes, this is basically a detective. This is what I want. It's modern. You know, it'll be great. Well, it's not. I had the trigger brake or the hammer, I can't remember which, I'll have to look back through in the videos, inside of like 400 rounds. And then when I went to do a redemption video on it, around 1,200 rounds, the trigger return spring broke. And then come to find out, that's a super common problem with those revolvers. So it's not just 1911s. It's across the spectrum. And then I know, like, if you guys want to kind of just chime in with your issues, there's no like similarity on this. They're all pretty much across the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. I feel like if you had a spectrum of all the things that could go wrong on a 1911, I just got them all focused like a laser onto my pistol.
Yeah.
So
got that roll mark though.
You got the roll mark.
is beautiful. That Mark IV reissue roll mark is awesome. So I'm going to keep myself from getting indignant when I start talking about this, because this is this is elementary stuff. This is so basic. So the gun shows up, and I was taking it apart, and I captured this in part 1, where that was my genuine reaction, where I looked down the barrel and went, well, that's not good. Half the rifling was missing. And not only was half the rifling missing, the rifling on the other side, basically what it seems to me is whatever jig they're using, whatever machine they're using is off. The tolerances are off. Something's messed up, because not only is it rifling only one side, but the rifling on that one side is too deep. So it's like the whole thing's just pointed off. But anyway, so day 1, I got it in, found that there's no rifling in half of the barrel. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to shoot this. There's no point in even moving forward. Like, I've got a half musket, half rifle. This is ridiculous. So I called them, and, kudos to them. I was surprised that 2 things happened. An American answered the phone very quickly, and they issued an RMA very quick, like on the phone. And I was like, okay, this is fine. Everybody makes mistakes. I have loads of grace for manufacturing, all that. Took them 3 months to put a barrel in. I get it back. The barrel is it's not fitted. They claim it's fitted. It's not. There is no evidence of fitting. There's no evidence of rebluing after the fitting. And the slide sat proud of the frame, which says, again, not fitted. It's a very simple, you take some material off the lugs and the slide will go forward. It was not fitted. And then the cascade happened. Just the floodgates opened. The thumb safety took 3 hours to correct. It was so horribly fitted. It took 2 thumbs to pull the safety to deactivate it. The thumb safety. The grip safety had a burr to where you would be holding the pistol, you'd put it down, and the grip safety would just stick in. And you'd have to like flick it, and then it would pop out. The trigger had, to quote Ken Hackathorn, it looked like it had been filed on a curb. It had just a complete flat grind mark on the top, no relief cut, and metal, just steel hanging off, burrs hanging off. The hammer started rusting red uncontrollably. It's sitting in a little baggie in my parts box. It looks like a piece of petrified wood. It's just this red rust. I have no idea what to do with it. You go down the list, man, like almost every single part on the pistol, the trigger bow, the trigger in the frame was so loose you could fit a toothpick in between the frame and the trigger bow. That's how much gap there was. So for a pistol that costs $1,100 and then it's full of approval stamps, there's these little stamps they put all over that gun that are supposed to denote inspection. They're supposed to say, hey, somebody who knows what they're doing looked at this and gave it a green light. None of it was right. None of it was right. So it took me weeks and weeks of honing that gun in, and I finally got to the point where it's like, okay, this feels great. The trigger feels really good. It's running smooth. By the way, the extractor, that's another thing, had to really work on the extractor, had a giant burr on the bottom left corner. And then I pull it apart at about 400 rounds, and here's the worst part. The frame is battered like crazy. 400 rounds. Now, I compared this to my Springfield Armory that's sitting off to my right, which has somewhere around 13,000 rounds through it. It doesn't look anything like that. My T-Sauce with 3,300 rounds through it. One of my Patreon mods, Jolly, he's got a Colt 1991 with 25,000 or more rounds through it. Looks beautiful. And that's where my confidence just dropped. I went, okay, this isn't even a fitting problem. This is a scam. This is like, it's a scam. That's the only way I can say it, is somebody dressed up a pig and sold it to me. And long story short, 3 days later, I then discovered the same battering is occurring on the breech bolt of the slide, which is like, that's supposed to be one of the most hardened places on that pistol. And one of my folks in the comments pointed out I was using a MIM hammer and it battered the slide. Just fit that in your head for a minute. A MIM hammer battered the slide to the point of burrs, where I had to file burrs off of it. Now, the three of us are in a really unique position because it's not just our experiences we have. We do these videos and then we get a huge amount of feedback to help us realize we're not crazy, right? And I had people sending me pictures and videos, barrels, no rifling. I had people sending me videos of battered frames and slides. I had people telling me, hey, my gun's so poorly fit, it barely functions. And so, and I'm saying 50 or more people with one or more of these issues. And so this issue is not a lemon issue. This is pervasive. And the overarching theme here is Colt doesn't give a crap about what they're doing.
Well, and not only that, the factor that people don't put into this, like, oh, hey, they sold you a bad pistol, they refund you or they don't, whatever. What about the time that it took you to do that? What about the cost and parts that you had to spend to make it right? What about the ammunition that you put through that gun that would have been better served in a gun that's going to last? Like, people don't add that into the equation. On my Colt Cobra, those 1,200 rounds would have been much better spent on a pistol that I'm actually going to use and trust and carry and get those reps in. Now, if they give me a refund, I have to start from scratch with a totally different platform. And I don't want to do that. But, people write that off, and I call it the Colt of Colt. You have those guys, and to those people, they don't shoot their guns. Or if they do, they're shooting guns that are from the past, and they're not shooting the stuff that's new. There's no way. There is zero chance that that's what's happening.
Oh, you want to get, no, that's, I same thing, Baron. I have videos that say the cult of Colt. They're like cultists. They're like Colt, 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 Colt. They don't care. You really want to get the ire of a certain community up, start shitting on Colt. And they'll be like, you're un-American. I mean, they get nasty with the stuff.
Dude.
But a lot of people will watch one video and they go, so what's the problem? They got a warranty, send it back. Well, the problem is they're notorious for taking months on end to fix small stuff that I could fix personally because I know enough about the platform, or they don't care and they do what they did to Josh, just slap some shit in or whatever. And then on top of that, they're like, oh, so it's only that one pistol. I love well, I don't have any problems with mine, so you must be. So you don't, what? And for a lot of people, I say, okay, you haven't checked my channel. I have a playlist on my channel. It's got at least, to this point, 13 Colt 1911s. Is that a big enough sample size for you? And out of those 13, I'll take one off because it's an early 2000s gun, which is fantastic. But from the modern Colts, I have a dozen. And out of that dozen, I would say 9 or 10, to me, spending the money on them, if I was selling them, if I was the Colt rep, 9 or 10 of them, just on finish, blend, and all, I'd be like, I can't sell these to people.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So 9 to 10 of them are unacceptable. 2 or 3, I'd be like, okay, this is excellent. They came the way I'm satisfied with my purchase that I spent my money on. And let's not forget, all of them are around $1,000, because even if you buy, let's say people would say my Colt Classic, I only spent $850 on mine, bro. And I go, okay, so did I. But you throw in taxes, shipping, 3% credit card fee, transfer fee at your FFL, and now you're right around an $850 gun just became a $1,000 gun. And I had a similar situation that Josh had. Now, that gun, if you go back and watch my video on that gun, it is stupidly reliable. I've never had a problem with that gun, and it's really accurate. It's got the National Match Barrel. I'll give them that. But the slide had rust on it. You rub it off. It's like they didn't finish the bluing process on the slide. The slide and the frame are two different shades of blue. Okay, I never would have let a blue pistol leave the factory like that. You could clearly see it. And then when I got to cleaning it, just this orange surface rust, because I know bluing is a rusting process. But it's almost like they blued it and then didn't finish the process up, because I even have a short. And I'm like, what is this? I put Ballistol all over it and I just rub it with a white t-shirt and it's just orange all over it.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting. The safety was rattly. There was I can't even remember all the things that I was
Yeah.
not satisfied with my purchase as a
Well,
customer of their product.
here's the thing, man. Like, I want to go back to something you said where you get these really disconnected, delusional comments where, like, I mean, my favorite is people blaming me for the Colt's condition. They're
Yeah.
like, well, it's your fault. And I'm
What did
like,
you
yeah, exactly. Tommy boy, yeah. What'd you do?
do? Yeah.
You know, and here's the thing, and particularly a lot of people want me to send it back to Colt. It's really funny. People, I know you guys all feel this with your channels. People really just want to hear their opinion in your mouth.
Hmm.
And I just love that. That's my favorite thing. But anyway, a lot of people want me to send it back to Colt. And here's my problem. Just, you know, your drunk uncle analogy is actually really poignant because they screwed up the thumb safety, they screwed up the grip safety, they screwed up the trigger, they screwed up the hammer, they screwed up the slide, they screwed up the frame, they screwed up the barrel. The whole gun is bad. What makes me think that they're going to do any better at this point? Like, I just don't think that way, where it's like, yeah, let me just go through the institutional pipeline and keep sending it to them. Like, for what reason? Because at that point, why don't I just not have the gun if it's just going to live with them and then come back and be wrong? So to use your example, okay, well, I've bailed my uncle out the last 10 times. Maybe number 11 will do it. It's like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, that's coping. Like, yeah. Do you guys, real quick, do you guys see this comment on the screen from Crack Viking in 1993? I have one of those. I have a Norinco 1911, and it shoots lights out, bro.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know. I don't know if it was made in 93, 94. It was right before the ban. You will see rough machining marks and stuff in the gun. But the thumb safety is fantastic. It's stupidly reliable, and it is really accurate for a cheap ass Chinese Kami 1911. Right?
yeah.
It
Well,
shoots great.
Crack is he's one of my mods on both YouTube and Patreon.
Okay.
And so he posted a bunch of pictures of this, I think starting yesterday, of this Norinco.
Uh-huh.
And everybody's comparing their old beat up guns to this Colt, going, well, this is way better than that brand new Colt, right? And yeah, his Norinco, God knows how many rounds it's got through it. It looks rough in like a good way. It's got a patina. It's been well loved. But you look at that frame and that little horseshoe where the slide stops, there's no peening on that. It's smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And so this issue that people are bringing up, like, well, maybe it was this and maybe it was that. Here's the deal. The three of us and everybody in these comments and watching, we are the consumer. I don't care about that. That is the manufacturer's job to make a good product. It's not up to me to make a good product, right? Like, I'm involved in manufacturing. When my customers call and there's a defect in something, I don't say, well, hey, go do some research and figure out what I did wrong. Like, what kind of backwards logic is that? Like, no, it's my fault. It's up to me to make it right. You know, so this idea that, again, this is where the Colt thing comes in, because there's a refusal to view things objectively with Colt. And it's like, no, we have to defend them. And it's like, guys, that's not how you get a brand to improve. And again, to go back to the original point in this video, that's what we're trying to do. Is I would love if somebody, even middle management with Colt, watched this and just went, man, let's go walk the floor. Let's go see what's going on. Where are we going wrong? Like, that's what we want. But
and
constantly
not only
high-fiving them and saying, no, you guys are doing great, you're perfect because you got a pony. No, that's not going to do it.
Well, and I think the issue is, now I have no evidence to back this up other than some comments of people who allegedly worked there, whether they did or not, kind of irrelevant. But speaking of customer service this last week, it seems like they have multiple vendors for the same parts. And I don't know what manufacturing they actually do in-house at this point. It sounds to me, at least like on the wheel guns, they're being cast by other people. They're being mostly finished by other people. All the springs are out of house. And when I talk to them about my trigger return spring, well, we have a few vendors for that. But what? How can you have quality control when you have like 3, 4, who knows how many vendors, even 2? You are just opening the floodgates to quality issues. And
Yep.
so like, I would like to know from Colt, do they manufacture anything in house, or is it all just assembled? Because to me, it only makes sense after talking to you guys if literally everything was outsourced and then they pay employees a minimum wage or whatever it is they pay them, not enough to just slap guns together instead of fit them. They probably come with those inspection marks already on it. Slap it together, send it out the door. Like, that is the only thing that I can think makes sense as to why the quality control is all over the spectrum. They're just not doing anything in house.
Yeah, so I can kind of speak to at least their ARs, right? So I have a newer built within the last year or so. I purchased it. The Colt SOP Mod Block 1 SOCOM, Colt SOCOM SOP Mod Block 1. I know the only parts on it that are actually Colt, because they have cage codes on them, is the barrel, the bolt, and the bolt carrier. As far as I know, the other parts are all subcon. The frame, the upper, all the other stuff seems to be subcontracted. And I know it because I have an old pre-band gun, or I mean during the band AR that I purchased surplus military, I mean law enforcement surplus off of AIM surplus, and it's got all, I mean, it's got Colt. It was during the beginning of GWAT. So the only difference between the military guns and the civilian ones coming off the line, doing some research at the time, was the full auto stuff. But you were getting full on every part Colt guns coming out of the factory. And then when they lost that contract to FN, and now this is, if somebody knows any more, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is from the information I got doing research online for a while on this, that they had to start subcontracting those parts, some of those parts out. So you will get, like in the case of the modern ARs, typically you'll get the barrel, the bolt carrier, and the bolt, and pretty much everything else is now subcontracted. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing all that same stuff with their revolvers and their 1911s.
Well, to add a little bit of that to what you're saying, so I believe from what I read, and someone in the comments would probably know better than me, but I think 2011 was the last year that they actually shipped out fully produced Colt ARs. Now on the revolvers, I know on the Cobras, at least the early ones, I had multiple people comment that said that Ruger did the casting on almost all the major components. Now, I don't know if they're still all done by casting, but it would make sense because a couple of them had mentioned that, hey, on these Rugers, they had issues at the same time. So it would make sense. Okay, it's all one casting company.
Are you talking early, like 60s, 70s early, or early?
No. Like the new ones,
Okay.
2017, 2018, that time frame. That allegedly the casting company Ruger owned did all of the casting for the major components of those. Now, again, no proof, but I had multiple people tell me that was the case, which would make sense because Ruger had some issues with their guns in that same time frame. So
yeah,
I know on the wheel guns, I don't have a lot of confidence much of it's done in house, and I wish Colt would just come out, be transparent, start with that, and then just move from there. Dispel some of the stuff we're saying or confirm it, and then make your changes.
That's a great point right there, man. So, and I, like we were talking about this beforehand, but like, I got guitars hanging around me. One of the things that builds confidence in these brands that I have hanging behind me, Paul Reed Smith and Martin, they do factory tours. They're like, hey, come look, watch a guitar go from start to finish. We got nothing to hide, right? And so when you're purchasing these things, you know exactly what's going on with these guitars. And so if you have an issue, you're gonna realize, like, okay, well, I've seen how they're made. Something else happened, right? And it's gonna instill confidence. But yeah, the way Colt's doing it, it's cloak and dagger, man. And Baron, what you said, I think you nailed it. It feels like this is a company that doesn't even know what they're buying. Because how can you quality control, especially at the volume they're turning the stuff out? Like, you go on pretty much all these big major retailers online, they all got Colts in stock, right? That means they're turning volume. How do you QC, to your point, several vendors like that? And I mean, from the frame and slide issues that I'm having, the soft steel, to the hammers rusting. And by the way, I've heard that Colt's not the only one. Like Dan Wesson is having the same issue, so they may be sourcing from the same vendor.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Real quick, guys, remember that I think I don't know if I told you, Baron. I don't know if you left already, but remember that story I told you? I think I told you the Ruger, the front sight flew off. I had like 8,000 rounds in a match. This is my buddy Bobby right here. He says, Ruger, I know a guy that shot the front sight off his gun at a match, and then he gave me his Les Bear Thunder Ranch to finish the match.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with USPSA, but I actually made A class in USPSA in single stack division with his Les Bear Thunder Ranch.
That's
so
awesome.
Huge fan of Les Bear. But I told you, there's the story. I told you, came right up. Yeah. That was crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I shot the Ruger, and then that's when I realized that the sights were cast. They were cast sights, and the front sight sheared right off at the top. And I looked at it, and it looks, and I'm like, hang on, that's that sintered powdered metal look. You can tell when a cast part fails. And I'm like, how the hell the front sight? You know, so I ended up trading that in on Ed Brown, which now has lots of issues too. I got to get around to getting that sucker back to Ed Brown and have him fix it. But
well, to your point, we should talk about that for a second. About there's a lot of people, and look, I do my best in my videos. I don't want to make anybody feel bad for what they own, because at the end of the day, look, if you're defending your family, you have what you have. You may have limitations, not just financially, but with laws, right? You can't buy a T-sauce in California.
You can't.
Right? So I don't look, if people are using what they have to defend their families, good. You're being a man. That's what you should do. And you should do it with whatever you've got. There's no shame in that. But there's another side to this coin. And that is the buckets of copium that people pour saying, well, what does it matter? Mine's got MIM parts and it shoots fine. Shoot it more, and you're going to see why it matters. Down the road, MIM parts, and on top of that, man, this is something I really encourage people. Spend $50. I call it the $50 test. Buy 2 parts from the same brand, and Wilson Combat is a really easy one to do this with. You can get a bulletproof sear from Wilson Combat. That is a forged machine part. Then you can get a factory plus sear. That is a MIM part. And then just buy 2 of them, right? One of each. And then just file them. Just hog on them. Literally put it in a vise and run your file on the steel. Anybody with any intellectual honesty who's not a Neanderthal is going to realize really quickly, oh, okay, there's a difference. Because that forged stuff, you're going to be like, is my file broken? Like, it's not easy to get through that stuff. The MIM stuff, I'm not saying it's super duper soft, but there's a difference. And the parts breakage is going to happen way sooner. It's just a fact. And so people got to understand that, like, you know, my channel has largely been built on promoting T-sauce. And people call me paid shill. Listen, if they offered to pay me, I would take the money because, listen, I already like them.
Yeah,
but
they make a good product, man.
They're great. They're objectively good. And one of the big reasons I promote them so hard is they are an all forged gun. And I did a video this past Sunday, I think, basically saying, guys, I don't want to review your Charles Daly. I don't want to review your
Fusion firearms.
Yeah, Fusion. Those are all race to the bottom guns. That's just the sad reality. And the reason is none of them have forged parts. And if they do, it's like maybe the frame and slide, right? A lot of them are still using 2-piece soldered barrels. A lot of them are buying parts in from just Pakistani melt houses. I'm just not interested. And so the quality that you get in those T-sauce guns with the forgings, it's noticeable. And if people would shoot them a lot or work on them, they would go, okay, they're right.
Well, and to your point as well, like a lot of people think because you have a channel, like, oh, they're giving you guns and stuff like that. And it would be super nice. Like, hey, you know, if they want to send me a gun, I'll take it. But I buy all my stuff. Granted, a lot of it's at dealer cost, but I'm still paying the money. I have zero, reason to promote a company or put a company down. So it's not like we have some type of investment in this. But it's gotten so bad, I don't stock Colt anymore at all. I don't stock anything from them. I'll order it in if somebody wants it, but I refuse to stock it on my shelves. And then to the other thing, if anybody's watching this that's new to 1911s and you're like, oh, I've been looking at this Colt. Sorry for hopping on this video first. Maybe it'll save you some money. But,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, MIM parts work in certain guns, certain designs. And in 1911, there's going to be exceptions to the case, but rule of thumb, they don't. Like, you need to use the forged parts. You can get away with it in a Glock or most striker fired pistol, polymer frame guns, different types of actions. You can get away with it, but you cannot in a 1911, especially in 45, if you're going to put any volume through it.
Yep. Yeah, and particularly on like, so there's some areas where I will absolutely concede MIM is perfectly okay, especially now. Like Wilson Combat's MIM parts. In fact, there's been several guns where I just love the factory plus sear so much because of the way the trigger feels. I will put that in over a forged part. So their stuff is good. It's not garbage. But there, to your point, there's a few areas where you can absolutely trust MIM in a 1911. The grip safety. That's not a part that's getting a lot of smash, right? The detents, who cares? The thumb safety. Doesn't matter, right? But when you're talking like sears, hammers, disconnectors, barrels, frames, slides,
Barrel bushing. The recoil spring plug, you can have that. I think that's the only cast or MIM part on a TSOS, as far as
That's probably true.
I think I think on their Novak sites, I could be wrong, but they look cast to me. I could be wrong on that though. I'm not 100% sure. You know, I guess we'll find out if my front sight flies off when I'm shooting sometime. But no, I think you know, the step I think forward is just trying to figure out what Colt can do other than being transparent and maybe even having an outside investor come in and invest in them. Like, what do you guys think the steps are to them? Like, okay, they wake up tomorrow, they're like, we're going to make changes. What do you think those first steps look like for them surviving as a company?
You want to go first?
I think Baron asked the question, but I think he spoke to in our conversations that we've had. And guys, we've had prior conversations as we were setting this thing up. And let me just say one more thing. Thank you everybody for showing up to this. And the comments are just rolling. So if I don't, thank you for, I can't answer all your comments, but I'll put some of them up like this. And I want to address this after we discuss Baron's question, but I think you say it best, man. You should probably kick that off, honestly, even though you asked the question.
Before we do that, this Kimber comment, I do want to address that. So I used to hate Kimber, hated him, absolutely just despised him. And I think, Matt, you said it best the other day, but and I'm stealing this from him, but Kimber is in the redemption arc. Like, if you thought Kimber was bad, try one now because they are great. They are really turning things around. Do their parts still feel kind of cheap? Do the guns still kind of, they don't give you warm and fuzzy? Maybe. But when it comes to actually running them and use them, whatever they did is working. I don't care what they did. It works. Like I would used to not want to sell Kimbers. I have no problem selling Kimber now. They are absolutely wonderful. Do they have their issues now and again? Sure. But by and large, like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Kimber's decent now. Like,
they are.
For real.
Yes, they are. Yeah. I know they burned a lot of people. Josh and I spent a lot of time talking about this. They have burned a lot of people in the past. Matter of fact, that buddy of mine, Bobby, that talked about Les Bear, about the Ruger front sight, he was at the range with me. He was shooting his Thunder Ranch. That same Thunder Ranch, I was shooting a Kimber, what do you say, custom, whatever. It was one made in Clackamas, Oregon, an early gun. That's the one I was telling you had severe barrel bounce and the bushing just sheared off. And he was laughing at me and said we had to stop the range. It was indoor range. We're like, oh, can we get a ceasefire? And go pick up all my parts. I immediately went out there, traded it in, said, here, trade this in on a Les Bear. So he thinks this is funny. But that was 20 years ago almost. And they went through that really rough patch where they were running to the ground by we shall not say his name type of guy who's now running a different company. And so they've had to dig out of that hole. And I think it's taking guys like us that actually will take another chance on them now. I have had absolutely zero. And I currently only own two. My wife bought me one for my birthday, a Shadow Ghost, and the finish, the fit, the thumb safeties. Yes, they have MIM parts in them. The machining on all the parts. It's fantastic. And
Yes,
it's reliable and it's accurate. So much so that I went out and bought a stainless two. And their prices are awesome for what you get.
for
And I
what
bought
you
the
get.
stainless
Yes.
two. Same experience with that gun. It's fantastic. I will buy more Kimbers. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had the very similar experience. I worked on a lot of Kimbers when I first started out. I trained under a couple guys on the gunsmithing stuff. And man, every time you saw a Kimber roll in, it was just like, oh man, come on. Like, it's just going to be bad. And so I kind of hated Kimbers for the fat end of 10 years.
Yeah.
And, but I had a couple people that I trust, like, man, I don't know, like I would think about it. And I made a video and look, I think all of us would probably say the same thing. I love to be wrong. I really do. I love to like go, this actually rocks. And so I took a chance, bought a Kimber. It's so good. Now, I will say, you got to ditch the full length guide rod.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
Gotta-
of those.
You got to ditch the plastic mainspring housing. That's offensive. And then, I think you probably got to, at least mine, I had to respring the recoil spring. But other than that, the gun is awesome. It is so smooth. It's very reliable. The feed, like I can tell just by the way the thumb safety feels, the trigger feels, and how it feeds, just hand jacking rounds in the action. Like people say you're not supposed to follow the slide, right? Or help the slide. That's not true. That's only true on a mag or on a gun that's not built well or has trash mags. If it'll feed fast, it'll feed slow. And that Kimber, man, it's so smooth and quiet. And so, yeah, all that to say, Kimber is, I would probably buy another one. I'm very impressed. And the fact, like you said, you're getting premium features and executed at a high level for under $1,000. That's crazy town.
Some of them for around 700.
That's crazy.
If you pay attention to some of these things, some people after I did a video on that, they reach out to me like, oh, I picked up one on like a clearance at PSA for $589 or so. I was like, oh my God, for that is an amazing price. But I think I paid right around the low 700s for that. So now you're talking a comparable Colt gun with all those features is $1,100 or more, depending on. I have a Colt SEA 1 limited edition. It's a fantastic gun. Trigger sucks on it, but other than that, it's pretty much great. It was, I want to say, almost $1,300 after it got to the shop and to the house. So you're talking about roughly a $550 to $600 difference for the Kimber. Now, Kimber, I get it. Listen, I get it, guys. You don't want to go out there and dump $700 that you've been burned before. And this is the same thing we're saying about Colt. They're burning us. But if you just take the three of our word for it and you're thinking about a Kimber and you look, I would personally say jump on it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I would trust it.
The only thing you're giving up with the Kimber, outside of those parts you talked about replacing, is going to be a classic look. They're the more modern slide serrations. Yes. A lot of them are kind of melted, and that may not be your style. And if that's the case, I point you to the Humble T-Sauce. But and honestly, like I can't not like T-Sauce at the price. I mean, it is what it is. But
which, by the way, I think I'm sorry, interrupt real quick before I forget. I think PSA is having a Halloween deal. You can get the GI night for $349 or $299
so
or something.
On that note, I just bought another one because I'm like,
I was thinking about it seriously.
I wanted to build a 1911, start a new project, a Caspian frame, bare, like it's bare Caspian frame is $300. I got a full forged gun built right for $320. I mean, after shipping and tax, $349. Like
it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
and also, I just saw that they are releasing a stakeout. I know the stakeout's been out for a while, but this is like a different version of a stakeout, more like a what do I want to say, kind of an early 80s. It'll have like the Commander hammer and some other stuff, but it looks great. So go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And we should probably do a stream on just tea sauce alone because
Oh,
I,
absolutely.
if
Yeah, we
I
got to
was
do
a
this again.
if I was a betting man, I would say in the next 5 years, if that, I bet you Springfield, I bet you Colt for sure, if they're even still in the game. Rock Island, all your sub 650 and under guns, I bet you they're gone. I really do. Kimber or T Sauce is going to steal the market, drive those guys out of business, and then through inflation, tariffs, and just the fact that they can because they don't have the competition, price will go up. And I don't blame them. They're selling a gun that's worth 7, 8, 900, 1,000. Yeah, truth be told, honestly, like if you can get away from where it's made and the name and get rid of the price tag, you'd be hard pressed to find something $1,200 that's even comparable. Like, it's not out there. But that's a video for another time. But for Colt though, I think for them to survive, like if I was running Colt, one, I'd have to be transparent, and because no company does that anymore. Come out and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. If you're not happy with the product, look, we'll make it right. All right. And just come out and be transparent on it. I'd reach out, and if not to the public, reach out to the dealers, reach out to the distributors so that they can tell people, if you don't want to make it just a big thing publicly, but have some transparency. And then number two, like, man, I'd like downsize the labor force by probably 3/4, go to 25% staff. And of that, keep the same salary as a whole for the 100%. And then divvy that salary up among your 25% and pay skilled machinists, skilled gunsmiths, guys who do finish. And you know what? The finish is honestly secondary to me. We could skip that till they get back on track. Just throw parkerization on it. Get some skilled craftsmen, pay them for their trade. And if you have to reduce production by 3/4, that's okay. I will pay the difference for the gun for what it costs, as long as it's right. I think that's the first step, and get rid of whatever factory you have. If whatever it is, just do away with it, scale down, scale way back, send out smaller numbers and charge more respectively. And the reason I say that is because out of all the manufacturers, I think Wilson Combat's probably the oldest like custom one that comes to mind, at least to front of mind, that's been around for a while, that's making, $5,000-$6,000 1911s. Okay, how long's Colt been making 1911s? They have the heritage, they have the history, they have the name brand recognition that they can stand on and sell that product. Right now is going to be a black eye. But if they produce a quality product, they can charge that, because out of all brands in gun history, outside of maybe Winchester, which this isn't their wheelhouse, Colt could do that. And I know that's going to alienate a lot of customers, but there's going to be a whole lot more that'll pay that because of the value it brings. The other thing too is the economy. I own a gun shop. We do other things too, Thoroughgood boots, Red Wing boots, a whole plethora of things just to float in this economy. Your person that was buying an $800 Colt, $1,000 Colt, most of them aren't spending money right now. Like, times are tough. They're uncertain. Just go to the grocery store. I don't care what you see on the news. Go to the grocery store and buy beef. Go ahead. Like, they're not spending the money on these guns. The people who are spending money are buying like World War II collectibles. They're spending $3, $4, $5, $6 grand, or they're going on Rock Island auctions and doing like a $30,000 lot. And they're getting those in because they're not phased right now by what's going on. That's who has money. That's who's spending money. Not necessarily target that, but the market's there is what I'm saying. And the rest of us, like, I'll gladly sell half my collection to get a nice done right revolver or 1911 from Colt. Now, there's probably better ways to do that, but that would be if I was running Colt today, like tomorrow I'd get in there and that's how it is. And I don't remember who said it, but I think somebody was talking about how they only keep their employees for like a certain amount of time anyway, and then recycle them out for new ones. So it's not like you're getting rid of somebody that's been there for 25 years.
Yeah. So let me jump on that, because what you just said is so true. So here's the thing. Behind me, I'm going to just pan my camera up. Those are Martin guitars. Okay. Anybody who knows anything about guitars knows that's the oldest name in the game when it comes to guitars, especially acoustics. Yep. There's other ones. I know people are going to freak out about that. But when it comes to American guitars, there's nobody else. It's Martin, and then there's everybody else who wishes that's what they were. Okay. What you just said has been true of Martin. Martin went through a phase. They had their sort of Empire Strikes Back second act, the dark time, right? And they went through a phase where their stuff sucked, and nobody wants the guitars from that time. There's sort of this dip, right? But here's what they did. They changed what they're doing, and they said, okay, what made us great? Specifically, back in about 2018, they came out with this line of guitars called the Reimagined series. And basically what they did is they said, we're just going to do it right. We're just going to do it the old way. We know how to do this. And you know what? The guitars went up in price. They're expensive. That one of those guitars right there, that's like $3,500. It's not cheap. But guess what? There's a bluegrass musician. His name's Steve Earle. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. But he said this back in 2019. He said, Martin, and this guy, he owns pre-war Martins that cost like $300,000. Okay, this is like, for us in the 1911 game, this is like, the first 500 1911s.
Right.
Okay? These are golden era. And he said Martin's making the best guitars they've ever made right now. And this is true right now for Martin. You can buy a Martin today, and granted, it's going to take some time to age and get that same character. But see, when I buy a Martin today, I know it's every bit as good. I don't have to wish I had that old thing that, days gone by. Colt can do the same thing now. They can come back and say, okay, it's going to be expensive and it's going to be a little bit hard to find, but here we go. We're going to have the humility and say, it's a new day. We're going to earn your trust again. And here you go. Here's a proper 1911. Because I would be one of those guys who would say, look, as much as I love the vintage stuff, Baron, I'm opposite of you. I hate the hunt. I freaking hate it, because I always have this question in the back of my mind. Is this a fake? Is this did somebody rag this thing out and they've hidden it from me? No, I just want a good new product. Let me wear it in. Right. And so now the only thing I would say, what I think Colt could do differently, I love what you said. Have the humility, be open, all that. I think to add to that, they actually need to have a presence. Because right now, does anybody know the face of Colt? Who is that? It's just some empty suit with a blank face, right? Like, I don't know of anybody representing Colt. I don't know of anybody, we can all think of these other companies, and you can think of some faces, right? Like that person represents them. They need a presence to come out and answer questions, come on shows and be like, hey, yeah, here's what we're doing different. We know about that issue. Here's what we did to fix it. And earn people's trust.
Yeah, like you said, speaking of Smith & Wesson, Jerry Michalik, even though he retired.
Yep.
Smith & Wesson.
Yep.
Max Michel and Lena Michalik were with SIG, and they don't have to be competition shooters, but those are people, like recognizable people in the gun space that, like you say, you can relate right to those who I know Colt's apparently got some competition teams, but nobody knows who they are, and nobody.
And the only person that comes to mind to me, and it's because they're marketing a product, would be like Ken Hackathorn. When he talks about his revolvers and they were custom made, or he had this input, so of course he's going to get behind it. That's his baby, But he's not the spokesperson for him. Like you're right, they don't have a presence. And the other thing too that I compare this to, and I've said this before, and Matt, you know a lot more about it than me because you're into that Rolex game, but. Rolex went through a similar thing in the 70s and I believe early 80s, where you had Casio, all these digital watches coming out. And if you look at all the Swiss watch companies, they all went under, got bought up, joined large groups. Yep. Guess who didn't? Rolex. Did they make a superior product? No. A $17 Walmart Casio will keep more accurate time than the most expensive Rolex watch. But what they did is they made a heritage product, an heirloom product, the way they had. They controlled the market a little bit, and then they just marketed like crazy. And then COVID happens, boom. They're huge companies.
They called it the quartz crisis because
yes, the quartz crisis.
Cheap Japanese quartz watches pretty much killed the Swiss watch industry.
And that's what we're dealing with today. If you want to look at even in the 1911 space, TSOS would be your Japanese companies, or like Glock clones, polymer pistols. Like that is the reality of what Colt is dealing with right now. And they don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just look at what other companies have done that have succeeded, that have the same level of heritage and history. And I think that's where they're at. Whether they'll do it or not, probably not. They're probably going to have to go out of business. Someone will have to buy them. And hopefully we don't get a repeat. But I hope that they do that, because I really want to just own a good new Colt, like you said, that I can break in.
That's
I
right.
want it to be something I carry every day and use, and I can give to my kids.
Okay, so
Well,
here's an idea. I just had this as you guys were talking. Here's what
yeah,
I think can fix them. They take the factory from Turkey, everything. They move it to the United States. They even bring the employees for the first couple of years. Because I'll
yep,
tell you a story about this. They bring the employees for the first couple of years. They set it up in the States. They make the guns and they brand them Colt. And it
yep.
would take a few years before like Colt's back on, but then people would find out you got to hide it because then they'll go, they're just Turkish pieces of junk. But make T-sauce pistols in America, so they don't have to be stamped made in Turkey. You could put made in America on them, right? Make them the same way with all that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, bring the employees over to teach American employees how to do it, and then run that sucker and slap the Colt name on it. So I used to work for a guitar factory in Puyallup, Washington State in the 90s when I got out of the Army. And that's what it was. It was called Tacoma Guitar. I think they went out of business. But at the beginning of this factory, it was run and owned by Koreans, because a lot of back in the 90s, a lot of guitar companies like Ibanez and stuff like that were made in Japan. They couldn't make them and make money anymore, so they started making them in Korea. And now a lot of places like Indonesia and Vietnam making guitars, electric guitars stuff. So the Korean company that owned them, they sent workers that live in America for like the first 2 years to teach us how they make
Yep.
guitars and stuff like that. So do the same thing. Have the SDS guys run it, bring it over here, set it up, slap Colt on it. I also think Colt needs to stop making the same four guns or whatever. They make M4s, right, or AR-15s, which again is not completely made, all subcontracted. They make AR-15s, they make 1911s, they make revolvers, and they make, well, single action army, but that's a revolver. So they make like three. Am I wrong? Am I missing something? I
No,
think
I
it's
think
only
you're right.
1911s, and people buy them a lot of times because they're vintage stuff, and they're great. They're single action armies, awesome, whatever. I have not had any problems with the revolvers yet, but again, I haven't shot them a lot. So I
Well,
think come up with a. I know they tried before and they failed miserably, like with the 2000 and what was the double action Colt Double Eagle, and they're all major
yeah. Oh
massive
Lord.
failures.
Well,
So I get it that they don't want to dip their toe in it; they might fail again. But come up every year, Shot Show
yeah.
companies come out with different stuff. Except Glock, they kind of make the same thing. But other companies come out with all new stuff every year, and Colt, it's like, well, we added an optics ready option on the same gun, but
Yeah.
but it's
Gag
just a
it
little.
with a spoon.
Do you see
So
this one has different grips this year? It's
This one has
yeah,
special.
right. That's
exactly.
what they do. Oh, it's got different grips, so
So I'll
Two
tell you.
recoil springs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
no way.
god.
So to your point, though, what you just described, that's what T-Sauce did to Turkey. Is they set up a factory. It's very obvious. They have capital investment in the CNC machining and the processes, and then they have Americans who live there and do the QC stuff. And really, here that's the real key. You got two real components to this. The way I'm seeing it, the way you simplify this, and I'm thinking of it from like, the background that I have. You can have people who know how to make things, but then there's this other part where you have to know how the thing's supposed to work that you make,
hmm
right? And so that's another thing. Is it feels like, I think I don't remember which one of you said it, but they have like people who don't know guns that are probably being paid bottom of the barrel money. They don't know what it's supposed to feel like. They don't know what is, the barrel hood check where you press down on the barrel hood to test for lockup. They don't know what
Yeah.
that means, right?
Yeah.
But I also wanted to say, I think it's now, today, this week would be the perfect time. And I know this is total pipe dream, but I think you guys are going to agree. We're in a 1911 renaissance. There's more 1911s being sold right now than have ever been made ever.
Yeah.
I mean, how many this is like, you guys remember like in the, like 15 years ago, like 18 years ago, it went from like 3 AR companies to like 57 AR companies. There's so many because everybody's buying them. The same thing's happening right now with 1911s and just old world guns in general. And it's the perfect opportunity for Colt to come out and start doing it right, because here's the reality. Man, the only thing they have is their name.
That's it.
That's the only thing they have, because they're competing against some real heavy hitters right now. But if they can come out, like, here's my opinion. Just, I'm going to talk 1911 specifically. If they turned all their manufacturing around and they came out with 3 1911 models, maybe 4, I'm sure you guys are going to add some. We need a pre-war. And I don't mean some limited run bull crap. I want a pre-war, like, first 500. I would even be happy with a Black Army. Just make it. It's a product you make all the time. Pre-wars all day, right? Then you got to have the A1. You got to have that A1 version, GI, right? Then you get up into the Mark IV era, into the 70s. Then do your modern stuff that, frankly, I just despise. But if you made those, they couldn't make them fast enough.
No, you're 100% right.
I mean, because here's my proof. Look at what a pre-war reproduction goes for when they pop up. The last one I saw was $4,800.
Was that their 100-year anniversary one that came out in 2011?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing those at a gun show for $1,000 in 2011. I was like, oh, I don't. And now I'm like, God, I should have bought one. But no, you're 100% right, dude. As a matter of fact, I was watching CN Arsenal's video today. I think they dropped it today or yesterday on the 1911 A1. Love it. But the model he's showing, where the front was heat treated, you could even do that. You know what I mean? People would not care. They'd be like, oh my God, it's just like the war one. Heat the slide stop notch, heat the front, do that with the plastic. I forget what he called the actual early plastic grips. And my God, people would go insane for that stuff. I'd buy one.
I would be like the people outside of the Apple store. I would have a tent.
Yeah. A Black Army reproduction? Oh, come on.
My God.
Forget it.
Before this escapes me, you mentioned T-Sauce coming over and showing them how to do it. All right, well, here's the thing. That would actually work really well, because T-Sauce won't have competition, simply because by the time you pay American wages and American labor and insurance and all the other crap that this country makes you pay.
Yep.
And if they're unionized on top of that, I mean, good Lord, it's going to be an expensive gun. T-Sauce has no threat. They can still import their stuff and not have competition. So, I mean, like, honestly, a best case scenario, SDS Imports and Colt merge, and they just share those techniques. And if you want to spend the extra, like I do, for something US made, there you go. If you don't, Turkish option. Like, it's the best of both worlds.
That they would like be a powerhouse, man. Yeah, because I'm with you today. Right now, I would spend the money on a proper Colt. Like, it would be so simple for them to do, but unfortunately, I think CZ buying them, they wanted the name. It's very clear nobody's at the wheel.
I would not be surprised if CZ looks to sell them in a couple years, because I don't think I don't have any evidence of this. I'm just guessing, but they're probably losing money.
You know
what I mean? They're having to do to rebuild a single gun 3 or 4 times, I would say so. Yeah. I mean, because that's the other thing, man. Like, besides you guys' experience, I have a couple buddies who are FFLs. Half the Colts go back.
That's why I don't carry them.
Right. And so it's bad for you. Now you've got capital tied up in this whole transaction. But then on top of that, again, like, and I don't know if you guys had this experience, but when I sent mine back for the, musket barrel issue, I called them 2 weeks in, and I'm like, hey, I just kind of wanted to check on, what's going on. And these are the words the guy said to me. Our gunsmith is on vacation. Now, I don't know if you caught a really important detail in what I just said.
One gunsmith?
Our gunsmith is on vacation. And I thought, that's a problem. That's a serious problem, that there is a gunsmith. I feel like that was a little bit of a Freudian slip on his part.
Yeah.
Well, the only people that would probably work for them for the wages are going to be that retired guy who's already drawing retirement. Of course, he's on vacation. He's visiting one of his grandkids. Like, it seems to me like they're just. I don't think that it's. I think it's the management on how this whole thing is run. It shows through. How you pay your employees is how your product turns out. End of the story. That's it. There's no pride in them. There's no consistency. I don't think there's any real skilled labor. And if somebody works at Colt and I'm wrong, let me know and I'll apologize. But it just doesn't come through in the gun. Like at the end of the day, it just doesn't. And like the manufacturing company I work for, their logo is quality got us here and quality is what's going to keep us here. Like at the end of the day, we try to make the cheapest product, but we don't let that get in the way of quality. If we're going to be more expensive, we're at least going to have a product that's worth spending the money on. And when they switched, because our company went through kind of a market dip for a while where we were just catering, 2008 recession timeframe, we were just catering to the cheapest thing because that's what sold. And it gave us a black eye. They turned around, they raised the prices. Yeah, it sucked for a little while, but guess what? We're in our industry, we are one of the top companies. And if you look at like, especially the amount of factories we have compared to others, we should be a little guy and we're not. We're number one or number two. It bounces back and forth. And it's all about quality and then paying your employees a livable wage. Factory I work at, we make extremely good money for what we do. I mean, we make pretty close to what registered nurses make, and almost none of us have college degrees. Like entry-level production positions, they pay us well. We do a good job. We make a good product, makes the company successful. Like you got to start from the bottom and it feeds to the top.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But again, going back to Kimber, the comment right here, they need to come out with a 3011 double stack. Now, I know it's blasphemy to some people, but that's what's hot right now.
Yeah.
Look at Kimber came out with whatever those ones they just came out with, and their name escapes me, the 2K11 or whatever they call it. And we're not the only channels talking about this. A lot of channels that get those in for review are like, man, they're seriously focusing on quality of their products. And I think if you offer a quality product for a good price, it'll pay off. It'll pay off. But all those companies go up and down there's always dips in the economy and dips, Colt struggled for a long time after World War II. They said because the Army had. Here's a funny fact that a lot of people don't know: is the military did not buy, to my knowledge, I've heard this, that they did not buy a single 1911 after the ones produced when it ended in World War II in 45 or 40. They carried those all the way, the same guns. Now they would repair them and shit, and maybe buy a slide or whatever they had to buy, but they carried those all the way through to 85 until the Beretta was accepted. So you had roughly 4 decades where Colt did not, or in Remington and any rest those, build any more new 1911s for the military. So they had to ship back to the civilian market. So, which was not buying a lot of guns from the volume of we need to order 2 million 1911s to the public now buying them. I don't know how many they were making then, but so.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of to add to that too, you have two business models. You do like Palmetto and you sell volume, which makes you money, or you sell quality at a higher price. And that's where they need to be. And Colt has historically always gone for the military contracts.
Yes.
We suffer on what we get, and it's a vicious cycle. But to be fair, we're talking about multiple owners through that time frame.
Yes.
And the other thing too, because I know it'll come up in the comments, it does on mine all the time. Colt is not helping confiscate guns in Canada. They're helping destroy them. Now that's not a whole lot better, but it's not like Colt's sending their employees out to do this crap. Like that's just ridiculous. And I know that's not what people mean, but you sound ridiculous when you say that. At the end of the day, what it is money. Bad economy. Their guns aren't selling at the price point they're at. They're not making a good gun. Those guns are going to get destroyed one way or another. If they're getting money as a business, you are going to take that decision. You're going to take that money. It's free money, basically. Is it right? No. Whose fault is it? The Canadian people. Now, I know there's outliers. I know I sympathize with them because we're going to be in that situation soon, I'm sure. So, I'll probably eat these words. But at the end of the day, the people are supposed to be responsible for regulating their government. They let it happen. Is it crappy Colts cashing in on it? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's going to get destroyed either way. It doesn't make it right, but I'm tired of people saying Colts would have more time to focus on this stuff if they weren't doing this. It's probably 2 dudes that are melting scrap down and sending it out the door. Like, that's not their biggest fish to fry. They have much bigger problems than that. And for the Canadian viewers, sorry, but or sorry, however you say it,
Sorry.
you're responsible for your government just like we are, because we always have to live it in the political comments like, hey, you do too. And we're probably going to be in the same boat as you guys are in 20 years. So, it is what it is. But I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. Is Colt Canada, you guys know, I didn't know if they're kind of like different, because it's so funny when the whole SIG thing was SIG, they're actually like 3 different companies. You got like SIG in Switzerland, SIG Sauer in Germany, and then SIG USA which are all kind of 3 different companies. I guess there's HK USA, which is different from like HK Germany, and Colt CZ Canada is different than Colt USA and different. I don't know. There's a lot of this, what do you want to call that thing? 3-card money or whatever, playing around with these companies. Like, because I know I just bought an HK P8A1, which is basically the German Army USP, and it comes with a letter that says HK USA imported this gun from HK Germany. So it's a certificate stating that is an actual German HK military pistol. It is new, but pistol imported by HK USA. And I'm like, wait, I thought they were the same company, but apparently they're not. I don't know how all that works, but
Well, so with the U.S. side of the house, the reason that that's done, to my knowledge, is if there's ever a military contract that involves any real volume, it has to be produced domestically.
yes.
Now, there's exceptions, but like SIG. Okay, well, when did SIG become big in the United States? When they were gearing up for military contracts.
Yep.
HK, the Marine Corps, same thing. A lot of Marine Corps rifles now are all H&K. So what is it? It's HK USA, Sig Sauer USA, or SIG USA. Glock, same thing. When Glock was looking real hard at that military contract, what did they do? They opened a U.S. factory. Now, would they have done that anyway? Probably down the road, but it just incentivizes them to build here so that they're available for those contracts.
Yeah, because you get through a lot of regulation if they're just built here. A lot of red tape gets slashed if you.
Well, and you're eligible for those contracts, where if you're overseas, you're not right out the gate.
Yep.
So if it's already established here, it's an easy. And if the way SIG's going now,
that was one of the. You're right, because that was one of the provisions for Beretta when they won the contract. They're like, okay, now you have to open a factory in the U.S. and they opened it up in Accokeek, Maryland. I
want to kind of go back to what you said, though. I think really a lot of the heartache, I think the details, not a lot of people know about in terms of like Colt being involved with anything. I think really what it comes down to is the same thing like Springfield does. They dip their toe into left-leaning, sort of like lukewarm bills or associations. And we just don't like that, because I think it's in our blood as Americans. Anybody who flirts with the path towards any sort of gun control or confiscation, we have a visceral reaction, as we should, right?
Yeah, it's a betrayal.
It is. Betrayal. And so to me, I don't know all the details of the Colt CZ thing. What I do know, whatever they're doing, the organizations they're aligned with, I don't like it. And I think at the end of the day, especially, again, going back to like how we started, man, Colt's like the most American gun company. They're just the most American, and they should be the most raw.
You could trace it back all the way back, like Remington.
Yeah.
And, you could trace it all the way back to Sam Colt.
Yes.
All the way up with Remington and Winchester.
Coulter Wall, Sam and Henry, the song he sings. Like, it's part, and I think he's Canadian. Like, it's just part of U.S. tradition. So well that foreigners sing songs about our guns and our manufacturers. Like, that's what we need to get back to. But guys, I do have to leave a little bit early, so I'm going to hop off here. Easy, man. But I appreciate everybody watching, and thanks, guys, for hosting me.
Thanks for showing up. Hey, guys, go. If you're not familiar with Red Baron Reviews, go check him out, man. Go subscribe to his channel. He's got good content. Thanks for
appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
We'll do it again, man.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
All right. Awesome. You ready? You want to keep going?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm down, man. But to his point, I was going to say before he got off, because we've seen the thing with Glock, right?
Yep.
We're seeing the whole dust up with SIG, the CZ thing. These companies, ultimately, I've said this before, they're not pro-gun. They're pro-selling guns. It's about money. It's always about money. I think Glock made the decision. A lot of people feel betrayed by Glock, and they're bowing to the California gun grabbers and stuff. Well, they're weighing it. I believe, and I made a video about it discussing that, they're basically weighing this as a monetary. How do we, what's the best way? I think they're being proactive, where I think SIG is being largely reactive and kind of blowing us off. They're like, it's not happening. And Glock might be, in some people's opinions, being a little bit too proactive, but they're weighing it. They're going, holy crap, they're going to crush us with all these lawsuits. And they've already lost a couple in these liberal states. So they're like, what are we going to do? I think, like he said, he even said it. Colt Canada is going to make money chopping up these guns. They want money, but the optics look so bad But a
Yeah.
lot of these gun companies are not necessarily pro-gun. They want to sell guns,
Yes.
but they also don't want the ire of the government coming down on them, because the government has endless resources and
Yep.
can just sue you into oblivion. You
Well,
know,
I think you're absolutely right, but I think there's another big factor here, and this is just the painful part of big companies: investors,
Yep.
board members, right? When you get into that big corporate world, to your point, it's like the people running these companies, I don't think they give a crap about guns. They just
Nope.
have found themselves selling guns in a large corporation. To them, it's a product. Um, there are a few companies. There's, I'm sort of in the restaurant business here in the state of Florida, and there's like some companies that I don't want to say who they are that I work for with
Mhm.
them, but you would be shocked to know they did not go corporate. It's a husband and wife, and they've got like 300 locations, and they're killing it. And you know that because the quality is there. That corporate blob soulless thing didn't happen to them.
Cracker Barrel.
Bingo.
That's the
That's a
most
very
recent
good
one.
example. Very good example. And so, yes, I think these big companies, um, the only involvement or way they interface with us, the gun community, is to manipulate us into buying their guns, is marketing. I don't think it has anything to do with any real allegiance to the Second Amendment, to
No.
freedom, the United States. I don't think it's anything like
Which
that.
is why, and you know how to prove that is when gun companies open their wallet and they donate to legal funds for gun, which PSA does. People can shit on PSA all they want, and they're like, oh, this guy's a faker. He claims 2A. You don't see anybody from Glock saying that. You don't
Yep.
see anybody from Smith and Wesson coming out and saying. You don't see it now. I don't know of their books and if they're donating, but you don't see publicly where they're like. You've seen where lawsuits are like, oh, PSA is funding this lawsuit, or
Yep.
PSA is behind this. They're going to sue the government on this or
Yep.
whatever, and they come out and they clearly state it. Are they bullshitting? I don't know. Are they all about money? Of course, they got to make money.
Yeah.
All these companies are in business to make money. They're not in business to do us favors and be like, yeah, I'll lose all my money and do you a favor.
But you're
Um,
right though. They
yeah,
are one of those rare exceptions. I call them, they're the people's gun company.
yeah,
Like, again, people, I know they've had their issues and whatnot. I have my best friend has family in that company, and he's taking a look behind the curtain, and he's like, look, it's impressive, and they care, and you walk in there and people are happy, and you don't hear like, you know how it is. You ever walk in a room where you can tell the husband and wife just fought? It's
yeah.
like,
You can
oh, this
feel the
feels,
tension in the
yeah.
air. Oh yeah,
It's
oh
like,
yeah.
oh, this feels weird. He's like, it's not like that. People are light and happy, uh and you can kind of see this too with like, people say, man, I wish HK would sell an MP7 in the United States, and Palmetto's like, we'll take care of you, man. Or I
Yep.
wish somebody would make an American AK that doesn't suck. We got you, man. Like, they listen to us. And
No,
look,
you're
if it
right.
is,
What is,
yeah.
I don't know here, but I've heard numbers, and you've stated before you're in the manufacturing business. Is a 5% failure rate? Is that, like, I've heard people say in the gun thing, like in industry, 5%. So you figure if they're making, I heard that, they're making millions of ARs a year, some crazy
Oh man,
number,
I wouldn't doubt it.
that they are
I
like the
mean,
largest by volume AR maker in the country, or maybe the world. I don't know. Don't quote me on that stuff. But if you figure if they're making a million, what's 5% failure rate? Is that 50,000 rifles, or what is
yeah,
that? You do the math.
something like that.
Um, that have issues, and then of course people take to the internet. And I get it. You're Well, a lot of people don't understand is, like you said, you got to look at it. I appreciate companies that go, I was on the other side of that. I'm the working man. I'm dragging my sorry, tired ass to a shit job every day, to
Yep.
a shit boss, putting up, eating shit all day long from my family, all this kind of stuff. And now I finally have a little bit of scratch to go buy me a nice gun. I buy it and it fails. And you're
Yep.
just like, mother, you know. And so I get it. You're pissed. So that's where service after the sale comes in and how well they take care of you. You and I talked before offline about, I call it when that sight sheared off of that Ruger 1911.
Yeah.
Boom, they were Johnny on the spot, sent the RMA, sent the label, sent the box, boom, in and out. It was back to my house in a week,
That's
less than
so
7
good,
days,
man. That's
repaired.
awesome.
That was it. No questions asked. Boom. I had on video, if people are familiar with my channel, I did a review of a Springfield Armory Ronin in 10 millimeter. Fantastic gun.
Yeah.
The corner of the grips split, of the grip panels, the wood grip panels split. Called them up. They're like, "What's your pistol serial number?" Bang. "Oh yeah, you're legit here." There'll be a couple of days. They show up at the door. Brand new grips, grip screws, bushings, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Awesome. And now I'm like, okay, I I like Springfield Army. Yes, they did some stuff back in the day, but every gun company, if you think about it, Bill Ruger did that shit.
Yeah.
Smith and Wesson did it when I guess it was a British company owned them in the
Yeah.
90s when they were doing that the
Something
whole
like
Hillary whole thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Hillary Holes. That always
now
makes me laugh.
everybody is pissed at Glock because what's her name? Catherine Glock or whatever her name is.
Yes.
Catherine's passed on and now she's running it and people are pissed off. They're saying it's her fault and all this other kind of stuff. But to your point, I think probably the investors or board of directors are probably, instrumental in making those decisions also.
I would say so. Yeah. And kind of what you were just saying, man, like it is super frustrating, especially look, I have a guy that's in my YouTube comments, really nice guy. And he comments every video. He's just one of those people that's like, I look forward to seeing him or hearing seeing his comment.
Mm-hmm.
And I take this so seriously where like I have probably had, it's got to be more than 50 or 60 people that comment.
It's true. Eli, did you guys know that Eli Duckworth from Alchemy Custom Weaponry got banned from
Yes.
for saying that? They banned him like a lifetime ban. Glock cried about that, and so they put a big giant cardboard cutout of him at the booth. And I mean, look, come on,
Yeah.
I get it. You divested your money. You took some Glock money and bought some freaking high-end super race horses, and you. That's true.
Dude, leave it to crack.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't even know what I was saying. That was so funny. Yeah. Overall, though, man, I think, look, these gun companies, there's a few things they can't do wrong. They can't make crap guns. That's one. Unless they're, like ATI or something and they're selling them for, 20 pesos, fine.
Right.
And whatever.
Honda or something.
That's right. You can't make junk. You can't be anti-American. You just, you have to be pro maximum freedom at all times. And you got to listen to people, because as big as I say 2A community, it's all of us. Like almost every American, I think it's actually a minority that doesn't believe in guns at all. There's a lot of us, but we're a very tight-knit group, I think, and we all have those core things in common. Is we don't want junk and don't even talk about restricting us. And I think if these big gun companies just got those things right, but it's kind of the way of the world anymore, man. Like it's the microwave TikTok brain mentality. Everything's got to be cheap, fast, and in a hurry. And the only thing that matters is sell it and get it out the door. We don't care what happens tomorrow. We made the sale. And people gobble that stuff up. The cheap Chinese Amazon crap, right?
Yep. And if it comes back, we'll attempt to fix it, but just shit him out the door, Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. The how Springfield treated you. What did that cost them? I mean, their costs all in $50, $80.
That maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
But what did it do for you? Like, oh man, like that's great. Like it just, the confidence, you can feel the love, it's like,
I know if I have a problem with a Springfield Armory product, I'll call them up and more than likely they're going to go, we'll take care of you. Boom. And cemented me. Like I'm like, okay, I will buy another Springfield. I talked to you and I
Yes.
talked again offline. We talked for a while. I'm looking at a Garrison. I'm like, okay, there, because Springfield's one of the only other companies doing blued guns still, other than Colt,
Yep.
and that's one of Colt's things. And I get it; those things are they're great. But yeah, anytime a company will stand behind their product, it's the same thing as being YouTubers. I don't know if you've got this yet, but companies will reach out to you and they'll say, "Do you want to check out our red dot? Do you want to check out our scope? Do you want to
Mhm.
check out whatever?" I have not gotten, by the way, people watching this, I don't know if you have. I have not gotten any guns from company, any free guns. Every gun you see on my channel, I have paid for my
Yep.
personal collection. Or I don't know that anybody's lent me a gun yet to do that I know of. I had a pretty extensive collection when I started the channel, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna show people my collection and all this kind of stuff. But so when they reach out to you, some companies will be like, will you review our widget, whatever it is, 2A widget, red dot or something like that, a holster. And some will say, and you go, yeah, sure, send it out. Here's my terms. I say, I don't take any money.
Yep.
If they give me a discount code, I don't get money from it. I don't, they're like, here, sign up for our thing. I want to pass that money on, savings onto the customer.
Yes.
So I say, I'll do a discount code, but I don't sign up for your thing. So just give it the customer 10% off or whatever. And then I'll say, and I get to have complete carte blanche. You're not going to tell me, because some people say, if you would like to review our scope, can you do a video, a short, send us the script ahead of time. We need to approve it. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. No way. Uh,
No.
when I come
Yeah.
back, I had a company do it. They go, do you want to review our scope? Sure. All right, we need you to sign an NDA or sign this. And I said, I'm not doing that. It was a very nice email. I said, I have to have full creative control. I will be honest and everything else in your video. And then they came back and they go, I said, I will not sign this contract. They wanted me to sign a contract. And then that I would show them this and do that. And I said, no, I'm not signing that. And then they go, okay, do whatever you want. And it was a great product. It was a scope. It was a great product. I'm like,
That's
wow,
good.
this is actually really good. If my point being is, if they are willing to say, we don't care what you say, we are confident enough in our product that you will be impressed with it, that it's a good product, that you'll give it a good review because it is a good product.
That's right.
That they don't have to do that. They don't have to be like, we want to make sure you don't shit on us, you know. Well, if
Yeah.
you make a good product, then why are you worried? You shouldn't be worried.
That's, so I have had a couple small companies reach out to me, and I'm very kind of gruff with them
Hmm.
because, like, hey, we're grown-ups and I'm going to just tell you exactly how I feel.
Yep.
And it's very similar to you. It's like, I don't want any money to do this. I don't want you to tell me how to do it. And on top of that, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not going to pull my punches, even if you gave the product to me.
Hmm.
And, there's been one in particular where they sent something to me. I never made a video with it because it was garbage. Now, I'm not going to make the video, like, it would get views, but it was just like, nah,
Yeah.
and I was like, hey, thanks for the stuff. But like, I'm not, it's a waste of my time. But this is something I say all the time on my channel, that like, all that, like, you probably get this, where it's like, people make all these arguments and they have like appeals to authority, or they try to like say, oh, I've been doing this for this many years, therefore what I say is going to be right, or whatever. It's like, no,
Yeah.
let your argument stand on its own 2 feet. If it's true, if it's wise, let it be true and wise, and people will judge for themselves. And it's the same thing with products, that, you know what? Hey, if it's good, it'll just be good. And
Yeah.
in a great example of that, again, I've said before, I'm probably going to just go ahead and get a T-Sauce tramp stamp, because I
Yeah.
shill for them so hard. But
Yeah, but they haven't paid you,
not a
and
cent.
you have every gun you bought with your own personal money. So
100%.
you're not getting like some special. I know people hear this, they go, "Oh, you're a YouTuber," so they walk down the line and they go, "Get the best gun you can find and send it to them."
Yeah.
You're buying it right from the gun store, or right from
Even, I'll do you one better. All of them I've bought online.
Yeah, me too.
So like, I'm just some rando that Palmetto's sending their guns to, right?
Yep.
And so, yes, and here's the thing. I have four tea sauces, but that's not all. I have 3 friends locally who have all bought tea sauces, several, and they're like loving them, 100%. Like everything's great. I have the 11th, and I'm not doing this anymore because the volume is just too high. But basically, people would like send me their guns to work on them, and like new tea sauces, just be like, hey, can you just like set it up, right? New springs, deburr, maybe if there's some Cerakote buildup, whatever, just get it out of the box good, right? 11 of 11, all of the ones I've done in the past like 9 months, no, 6 months, they've all been excellent. In fact, all 11, including my 4, including all my buddies, they have all run jacketed hollow points as the first rounds they ever fired, 0 failures. So like, that's why I'm such a fan, is because they're that good. But yes, T-Sauce doesn't know who I am.
No, they don't.
Like, I have
They
7,000
made comments on my
subscribers.
videos before and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, they don't, STS imports that. I actually asked them because one of the big things people would be like, it's they would correct the way I say it, and they'd say it's Thesis or Chishis or whatever. There was 40 different ways people say the name. So I actually STS imports, the guy from STS imports commented on one of the videos. I said, listen, question, right? How do you say it? And he's like, the Turks say it this way, and the Americans say T-sauce. Either way is fine. And I'm like, okay, how do
That
you
was my
actually
thing,
say?
is I'm like, I have people say that to me all the time. They're like trying to
Yep,
French it up. And I'm like,
yeah.
look, if they want me to say it differently, spell it differently.
No, right, right. Yep. But here's T Barkov. Fusion is transparent about their parts. Now I have Fusion firearms. Fusion does make this thumb safety. I have bought on and put on several guns. It's fantastic. It's not super extended. It's almost like the standard 1911 safety with just the nub on it, but it's got a little tiny bit of an extension on it. It's fantastic. I've had people reach out to me. It's so funny because, and I'm not saying that, I think his name's Todd. I'm not saying that this person is saying this, but I've had people reach out to me and they're like, you need to get telling me that I need to go get a Fusion. And I'm like, whoa, okay, send me one. You go spend your money. You want me
Yeah.
to spend my, and these people are just rude about it. You want me to spend my money on a gun and see if it's good so that you can then go out and buy it. No, you buy it, send it to me. I'll review it, send it back to you.
Wait, you
Because
mean,
there's nothing Fusion. I'm not shitting on them. They probably make
yeah,
good guns. I don't know. My experience with them is thumb safeties too. I've bought them. They're fantastic. They are really good. They're within spec, whatever. But I've looked at their guns and they don't make anything that, to me, that speaks to me. I
me
can
neither.
probably make a pretty good guess that they're better than Colts,
Yeah.
but because I think I forget who the owner used to work for. He used to work for one of the big gun companies as a gunsmith or something. But I look at their guns and I go,
Yeah.
it just doesn't talk to me enough to spend the money to throw it on the channel, spend $800 to $1,000 on a Fusion, throw it on the channel, and I might make $10 off of it. Honestly, $20.
That is literally the truth. And
That is.
And not only that, I don't know if you're dealing with this, but it's like, I ain't got nowhere to put these guns. Like they're like, it's getting to the point where it's like, that's why I kind of pump the brakes. And I made a video this past Sunday, basically telling people, like, I made a spreadsheet. It's a very nerdy video, but I basically said, look, unless somebody can come along and check all these 6 or 7 boxes that T-Sauce checks, forged frame and slide, John Moses Browning spec, you go down the list. And if they can do that and do it at least as good or better, then I'll consider it. But people, like you said, they think we're like a public utility. And it's like, hey, you're on the internet, just go spend your hard-earned money. And, and it's like, guys, we're just people.
You get guns for free. No, I don't. Not
heck
once.
no.
My
Now,
channel's
again,
only 2.5 years old. I haven't got a free gun or even a test T&E gun sent in at all. One
no.
company reached out to me and they're like, "Do you want to check this gun out?" And I'm like, "I literally own two of those. So I'll review my own for free." Because
Yeah.
at first I was like, yeah, because it's being brought in by a different importer now. It's been through like, it's the, used to be the Arsenal Strike 1 back in the day. And then it became like the Archon Type A and B. And then it became this and that. And now I think it's brought in by AFP, APFs. It's brought in by another importer, but it's essentially the same gun. So at
Yeah.
first I was like, I had like 3 or 4,000 subscribers. So I was like, whoa, this is cool, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. Do you want to? They're like, cool, we'll send you a gun. Send us your FFL. We'll send you the gun. And then you get 30 days to review it, send it back. And I'm like, so you're going to send me the gun. You um, want me to pay a $45 transfer fee because that's what my gun store charged, the closest one to me. Otherwise, I got to drive way out. So I'm like, so you want me to pay a transfer fee, do the gun, then pay to send it back to you, and the video might get 1,000 views, which is like maybe $5, if that. So I'm like,
Even
no thanks. I already own two of those.
even if it does well, again, this it's a weird thing. Like, look, I'm new to the YouTube game, okay? 7,000 subscribers. I'm not big by any stretch.
Yeah,
But
none of us are.
I'm yeah,
With some of these million, what did Demolition Ranch have before he retired? 12 million,
oh,
11, 12. That's insane.
crazy. Yeah.
Insane.
So, but I'm far enough in to kind of start getting a feel for like how this thing goes. And it's like people really do view YouTubers. It's the same thing with like a church, right? People, well, at my church, people will walk in. We've had some wackos walk in, like one dude in Daisy Dukes and just being a weirdo. And he's like, you can't tell me to leave. This is a public building. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Like, what planet are you from? And that's kind of how people treat YouTubers, where it's
Yeah.
like, no, you just do what I say because I made a comment. And it's
Yeah.
like, and with these companies though, I one of the guys that reached out to me, it kind of felt like that. It's like, no, your job is to give me free advertising. And it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. I've had
No,
that. I
it's
won't name
not.
the company, but I've had companies reach out to me. Like I did a review on a thermal site. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Especially for like the $1,500 price point. They're like, hey, do the video. We're not going to tell you how to do your video.
Mhm.
They actually asked me, do you want money? I'm like, I don't want no money, but I'm not going to spend the time to send it back to you. I
No.
keep the product, okay? You get the review, stuff like that, but you don't pay me or anything. Did the review, it's awesome. Then I had another company, I don't know if they saw it, I don't know what, but they reached out and they're like, will you review this? And I'm like, sure. It was a scope to, night vision or something. I'm like, sure, I'll check it out. I'm like, all right, we're gonna send you a T&E one. You can buy it at a discount. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. So my time is not worth. I'm not asking for money
Yeah.
from you guys. I'm not asking, to show your product or anything like that. I'll give an honest review on it, but I at least get to keep the product for my time because, like you
At
and
a
I have
minimum.
discussed, at a minimum, because you and I have discussed, it takes 4 to 6 hours, depending on the length of the video, to do editing, not including going out. So people, let me tell you how a gun review goes. And this is pretty much for most people. You
Yeah.
go out, if you're not getting free guns from the company, you go out, you spend your money on the gun. So let's just say that's a generic $500. So you're already $500 negative for the gun. Okay. Then you got to spend the time. You have to have all the camera equipment, all the other kind of stuff that goes along with it. Then your time is worth money.
Yep.
Whatever you make at your job, let's say that's what your time is worth because you're willing to trade your time for money. If you make $25 an hour, you should say that your time is worth $25 an hour making a YouTube video. Then you got to go buy the ammo. Otherwise, at some point you paid for the ammo. Either you have it at your house or whatever, but at some point you pay for that. Then you got to go out to the range. I'm lucky I got it, out back here. Some people have it like that, some don't. They got to go to the range, and that's all cost. Then you got to spend 2 to 4 hours editing it and all that other kind of stuff. And then if you get 1,000 views, you might make $5.
That is
10,000 views, you'll make $50.
Yeah, the best videos do about that. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're and that's why, that is exactly why I told one of the companies that I'm just like, look, I, you guys don't know how much work goes into this. And look, I'm not complaining. I do this because we love this,
It's a
right? This is
passion.
awesome. Yeah.
We get to
Um,
connect with folks like, with like you. We get to connect with
yeah, man.
and interact with the greater community and meet some awesome people through this.
Yeah,
It's great.
it is. But it's also work. And it's,
It is.
I basically work 2 jobs. I got 5 kids. I've got a wife. Like, life's full for me. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm very calculated with my time and what I give. And um, yeah, man. Which, by the way,
So,
I did just want to say,
uh,
I see a ton of my folks in here in the chat, and it's just awesome to see our groups mashed
absolutely.
together. Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, somebody said Bob Serva of Fusion used to run Dan Wesson. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's got prior. It's just nothing. Like I said, if they were to send a gun out to me, I would do an honest review of it. But it's just nothing there like that
Yeah.
intrigues me. That it's the same thing. Not crapping on these other companies like Rock Island and stuff like that, but they got their issues too. But that's a side note. But I just only a few of their guns. Like I did one that had a full length rail. It looked like the old Springfield TRP operator with the full length rail. That's
Yep.
a OG 1911 right there, man. Those are awesome.
I call that one the RoboCop pistol.
It's awesome, dude. It's
Yeah.
awesome. If somebody would come out with one of those, that was, I guess Springfield still makes a few limited runs here and there of those because they have the new TRPs, which are apparently fantastic too. But they have
Yeah.
the shorter rail, and I like the full length. I know it adds weight, but hey, added weight helps with recoil too.
And for that kind of pistol, for a home defense pistol, who cares about weight?
Yeah, who
Man, I'll
cares?
dual wield dragoons at home. Who cares, man?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, or a competition gun where you're only carrying it for a couple hours on the flat range when you're shooting and stuff like that.
yeah. So the fusion thing, like, you pretty much said it. Like, I would review one if somebody sent one to me, but it's like you're sitting there, eating a McDonald's burger, which I don't recommend.
Yeah, no.
I'm a Wendy's guy personally.
Me too.
Are you really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the
Wendy's.
wife's probably up there like, oh my God, he loves
Dude, Wendy's double stack. It's unbeatable.
Yes, the Dave's double.
That's right. So it's like you're sitting there eating Wendy's and somebody comes up and goes, yeah, but what about this burger? And I'm like, what's different about it? And they're like, the wrapper. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, sorry, dude, I'm not interested. Yeah. And also, I will say, I'm a hard one to please. So, like, my channel is appropriately named. I've gone through the gamut of the tactical stuff. I used to be, do all the high speed stuff. And look, I don't hate those guys. I don't hate that stuff, but it's just boring. Like, it's like being interested in Camrys. It's just like, it's not super interesting.
Yep.
I think the old stuff is a lot more interesting. And yeah, like I've said often, are you familiar with the Winchester 1907, the rifle?
I don't think so.
It's an amazing rifle. I'm going to do another video on it. Basically, it's one of the earliest magazine-fed semi-automatic rifles.
Okay.
And it came out in 1907. Real early on. I have one, a real vintage one made in 1909. And I've often said, like, if a company came to me and said, hey, here's a 10.5-inch suppressed HK 416 with a laser and all this stuff, and was like, here you go, I'd be like, okay.
Okay.
But if somebody came and said, hey, if Winchester came and said, we're reopening, we're going to start reproducing Winchester 1907s and we're going to chamber them in 357 Magnum, I would piss myself. I would implode into a neutron star. Like, so I'm a hard one to please in that regard. Like, big bore old stuff, man. That's kind of my jam.
I'm all over the place with that, but I agree with you. I've said it in several videos, talking to people and stuff before, that I have polymer pistol fatigue.
Yeah,
I just can't. They shit them out. It's like Tic Tacs, where they shit them out the cyclic rate, and they're the same over, and they're boring, and they're, like you said, maybe a different wrapper, and that's about it. And now that the Gen 3 patents expired a few years ago, everybody is on that Glock clone train.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, that's where the Ruger
Mm,
RXM and some of these other
that's
ones.
why everybody came up with Glock 19s.
Yes, the Gen 3 patents ended. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
so I love all that stuff, but I love like even the retro stuff. Like I have FNC back there,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So I
Yes.
love all that stuff, but I also love the old war stuff too. I mean, I owned at one point. I got tired of that tactical. I go through these phases. I got tired of that tactical
Mhm.
stuff. I was shooting a lot of competitions, and I said I want to get back into the World War II stuff. So one time I had a Rockola M1 carbine. I had four M1 Garands. You know, the Winchester, a
Mhm.
couple of Springfields, an H&R. I had a that 1918, 1911. I had a lot of old cool trench gun, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
And then I sold that stuff for motorcycles, but that's a whole nother. But no, so I get it. I go through these phases
Yeah.
where you get the tactical stuff, and then you get the cool old.
Yeah.
Right now, I would like to get like a old vintage 1911, a Colt, but those are stupid
Oh
expensive.
man.
They're
Yeah.
just, the
For
best you
me,
have is what Remington ran for about 2 grand. You
yeah,
know,
and even that's a crapshoot. It's like my I've got a local friend here. He's got a really minty Remington Rand. And he's got a good one. But then I've got another buddy who went through the CMP program,
yeah,
and it's a disappointment. It's like it's just this big multicolored thing that no parts match. And it's just like, okay, it's old,
it's a
but
crapshoot.
yeah, yeah, it's personally, that's why, look, I'm not against spending money on guns, but that's why I've held off from the CMP thing, is because I don't want to get some Franken pistol in and just say it's great because it's old. Like
Right.
I would want a complete pistol.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, if
Unfortunately,
anything,
that's hard to
speaking
find.
of CMP,
Yeah.
if this means anything to anybody, they did. You and I again talked about this offline the other night. CMP accepted a TSOS as their pistol, not a Colt,
And not a
not a
Springfield.
Springfield,
Yep.
but the reproduction of is it the A1, the M1911 A1?
Specifically, it's really close to like an early Remington Rand, like when they first got the contract.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you and I talked about this. They don't give those endorsements out lightly.
No.
Like, and look, I love them so much. I have one. I just bought a second one on Palmetto, and I have these grips ready to go on it. These are some vintage, legit grips that one of my YouTube subs sent me. Awesome guy, Chris. Um, it's like, man, they're so accurate. And I compared mine to that buddy of mine who has that mint Remington Rand.
Mm-hmm.
They're identical. And I mean, identical. And in fact, the TSOS is better fit and it's got better components. Like the materials are better. So yeah, man. And that's kind of why I'm like, I have a buddy who's got a pretty high end laser machine. I could literally just go take that TSOS and get like Remington Rand on the
Yeah.
slide and be
Yeah.
satisfied.
Yep. Yep. But
So
Colt, it doesn't have Colt on it. No.
yeah. So Matt, he's another one of the my Patreon guys, and these guys, man, they have such good taste in guns. Particularly
Mhm.
Matt, he's got awesome taste. If that's true, it's not surprising, but it's also shocking. 200 million Glocks. That is a lot.
That is a lot. Listen. Speaking about Glocks, okay. If by some weird turn of event, like if they needed my old ass, they're like, you're going to the trenches of Ukraine. I would not take a 1911. I don't think a 19. I think a 1911. I think they're fantastic. They're my favorite handguns. But I believe with the technology that's out today and the just the I believe they're obsolescent for a military sidearm. I believe they are. I believe they're more than sufficient for competition shooting, for civilian carry, for home defense, all the stuff we would use them for.
Sure.
But I would grab an AR-15 and probably a Glock. I just would. I mean, that's
You wouldn't be far off, man. I don't think you would be bad off. Um, You know, for me, yeah, realistically, obviously, it's got to be an AR. Like,
Yeah.
there's just not a better rifle. They keep, you know, the military keeps doing these trials. Like, we need a new rifle for some reason.
And then they go right back to the AR.
They go back to the AR.
Or an AR style like the HK 416, or you're like,
Yeah,
it's just a
yeah.
piston driven AR. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I've held them, I've shot them. I'm so thoroughly unimpressed. Like, it's just a heavier AR, and it's like people start talking about reliability. I was like, is shooting like 10,000 rounds without even cleaning your AR not enough? I don't want to hear about the reliability crap, man. Like, but you know, so I will dissent on that. I think the 1911 is still very much a Marshall handgun. Um, Now, I mean, if you come up with scenarios of like, you know, mud and things like that, it's going to struggle. That's for sure. Like, the elements are harder on the 1911. You got an open hammer, especially if you have a lowered ejection port. You have a pathway right to the barrel link.
Yep.
It's going to struggle. But I love Glocks too. I'm a Glock guy. Like, and I like them stock. I throw some Trigicons on them and call it good. They are excellent, and I shoot them very well. I connect with those guns.
Well, let's not forget the 1911 was the Glock of its time. It was the revolutionary when it came out, when it was accepted by the military. It was like, you're talking about, what were the semi-auto pistols around that time? The Luger, some other things, but that was in the infancy. That was in the very infancy of when they were just figuring out reliable handguns. Let's not forget, the Colt went what? The test went 6,000 rounds without a malfunction.
Yep.
You know, and then by the time they tested it against the Beretta, they were pulling out guns that potentially were 90 years old and pitting them against the Beretta. I think when it came out, it was the bee's knees, just like the stuff is nowadays. So it's unfair to compare the two. But I get, you know, I get what with the high capacity and all. I get all that stuff. But just because it is, just because it is practical. The nut and fancy thing, the two kinds of cool. Just because it's practical and tactical doesn't mean it's cool. That's where people are like, I get I'm sure you get this, dude. It's just a tool. You should never spend more than $500 on a gun ever. It's just a tool. You know, well, no, there's romanticism, there's nostalgia, there's the second kind of cool. That's the best way to say it, the way Nothing Fancy says it. If you like it, and just because it looks pretty, to me, aesthetics on a handgun are just as important on its reliability and accuracy. I look at it, if it's an ugly gun, I'm like, I don't like the way that looks, and I don't want that. You know what I mean?
You know, in the guitar world, we talk about this a lot, and there's three really important things for selling a guitar: how it looks, and how it looks. Like, if you can't pass those three, you got nothing. And you know, you see these companies that come out with really goofy guitars and they're weird shapes and stuff. And it's like, it's ergonomic, it's meant for your skeletal structure. It's like, dude, take a hike. It's ugly.
Did you ever hear of that guitar called the Parker Fly?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Parker or the Strandberg. I think those are two of the fuggliest guitars in the world.
Now, it doesn't matter, like you said, doesn't matter how well they play, how well they sound, because they were revolutionary with some of their technology. People are just like, what the hell is that? It's offensive to the eye. Example, Colt. We'll get back on Colt. I have a Colt Viper, 357 Magnum, 3-inch revolver. I like it. It's great. It eats this middle finger knuckle up when I shoot 357 Magnum, the way the grips are. People are like, throw some hogs on it, man. And I'm like, listen, I get it.
That's so wrong.
They look like hammered shit with hogs on it. Ergonomically, they're awesome. The recoil, they're awesome grips. I like the old Hogue grips, the way they shoot, they feel, the way they absorb recoil better. But the one hang up is, I think they look like shit. I think they make revolvers look like ass. So I will deal with the wooden grips, because I bought an old police trade-in Model 10, and it had the Hogues on it. I immediately took those off, bought some Smith & Wesson wood grips, and put those back on. Is it easier to shoot with the Hogues? Yes. Is it more comfortable to shoot with the Hogues? Yes. Does it help control recoil, which is not a lot in those heavy Model 10s, the 38 Special? Yes, but it
Yeah.
looks like shit. I don't like the way it looks.
know,
I
dude.
will fight. I know it sounds dumb, but I will fight around that, especially since for me, it's not a fighting handgun. It's
True. Yeah.
I bought it because it's a cool handgun, or I take it out to the range and shoot it, or whatever, you know.
Yep.
So I just go. Sometimes looks for me is.
Oh, that I'm completely with you. Like my Winchester 1907, that old rifle.
Mhm.
It's the most impractical thing in the world, right? So it's very small, but back then they didn't quite understand quite yet. Like again, magazines were very novel.
Yes.
Uh, blowback operation, very novel, right? We're
Yeah,
coming
these are
from
all new things.
very, very new. And so this Winchester 1907, it's the granddaddy to the M1 carbine. And you see, it's sort of like looking at a 1911. It's like looking at a 1905. It's like
Okay, yeah,
this
yeah.
modern art masterpiece, right? You're just kind of like, ooh, that's ugly, in a way. But the 1907, it's got a giant block of steel under the forend, and that's how they thought to slow down the recoil was just add steel. The gun unloaded weighs almost 9 pounds.
Wow.
Not only that, not only that, it has no charging handle or anything. It's got a plunger
I was
that
going
you
to
have.
ask you, so I know exactly the rifle you're talking about
Okay,
now. It's
yeah,
got the
yeah,
plunger on the you put, yeah.
yes, yeah, it's awesome.
Do you know why they did that?
I don't.
Because check it out. John Browning, his genius. So he had the Auto 5, right? It's got a
Yep.
charging handle on the. He was the first one. He patented that, which is why
Mm,
other companies couldn't use the charging handle, which is why they came out with that one. You ever hear that shotgun, the Widowmaker, where you have to
the
grab the
barrel.
barrel?
Yeah, yeah,
That's why they were getting around John Browning's patent of the Auto 5. He was, which is crazy because to us, you're like, it's a charging handle. That's
yeah.
natural. Nobody had ever come up with that before
That's
and
wild.
patented. So it was part of the patent to charge the Browning Auto 5 that they couldn't use it. So they came up with the plunger thing and the Widowmaker pulling on the barrel thing.
It's amazing how influential that man was.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
greatest
So
gun designer ever.
in 100%. I have a Winchester 1892, and I adore that gun. It's brand new. It's a brand new one. I just got it like 3 weeks ago, and it's a John Moses Browning gun. And yeah, you just look at it and you're just like, thank you God for John Moses Browning.
Is
But
there is that made in Japan by
it
Moroku?
is.
Okay, I have the 1873. I think
Mm,
that. Oh my God, what a beautiful gun!
I love them. It's just
Beautiful
like,
octagon barrel, color case hardened.
oh,
Oh my,
you got the right one. Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
man. I sat on the back of my. So the other day, last Saturday, it was a really busy day. I had 2 range trips. I took a pistol class, and then I went to the normal range I go to film. And I ended the day just by sitting on the tailgate of my truck at 110 yards with my Winchester 92 and just lobbing 200 grain little hate pucks at the steel. And it's just pure joy. Like, just relaxed.
Yeah.
But no, this Winchester 1907, besides the weight, besides the weird plunger that's like, by the way, takes like 28 pounds to depress.
Yep. Yep.
It only holds 5 rounds. And so it's the most impractical gun ever. But you know what? Here's what it has going for it. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. And so I have grabbed that thing and gone stomping around the woods in Georgia on my family's property. That was the woods walking gun. And impractical, heavy, low capacity, but awesome. And so, and that I'll tell you, this is something that I've said often. The old world designs, like everything now, it's sort of like modern architecture. Modern architecture is just sad. Everything's square and gray. And it's like, man, the Art Deco era and like in the 50s and 60s where things look melted and round and artistic. And, I wish modern gun companies would get back to that, where it's like things don't look so industrial and lifeless, where things have this charm to them.
Yep.
That's part of why I love old guns is you just look at them and you're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, speaking of old guns, melted and stuff like that, there used to be well, Jerry Mitchell's wife, Kay Clark, her father was Jim Clark from Clark Custom Guns.
Oh, no
S-
kidding.
Yes, super gunsmith back in the day. I don't know if you knew this. They used to have this thing called the Clark Custom Melt or Clark Carry Melt.
I do
They
remember.
would melt a 1911 down the edges. They were
Yeah.
oh my, those things were so beautiful. They had to stop doing that. I don't know if because he was getting older, or if I remember correctly, people were wanting him to do it on like rock islands. They could only do it. They got to the point where they were only doing it on specific guns. But man, I wish a company would do that again. It like you say, it looked like melted butter, and it
Yes.
was so gorgeous and everything. Not a sharp angle on that gun. It was just so rounded. They looked fantastic.
I didn't get to hold one of his, but I got one of the gunsmiths that taught me some of what I know did a melt job on his personal 1911.
Hmm.
And yeah, man, like just like you could just stick that thing in your pants without a holster. It's like there's just nothing to grab. And it's not just functional, like it is beautiful. Like
Hmm.
there's a quality to it. And honestly, that's something I really love about the really early 1911s where it goes from flat to round on the slide,
Yeah.
where that corner's knocked down a little
What?
bit.
Yeah, yeah. Or
I
the
like
one
that.
I like, what do they call? Do they call it a French border, where you get it curves down and then they knock a little step all the way along.
Yeah.
That stuff. Those old guns, like
Yeah.
if you guys watch 1776 Duck, Eli Duckworth, and he talks about the old Swinson guns with the square trigger. You talk about a vibe, bro.
Yeah.
Square trigger for me, two-tone gun, square trigger guard. Stainless lower, blued upper, square trigger guard, a commander ring hammer on it. Like, I mean, just
Yeah.
those are awesome, dude.
Yeah. Eli's I think I'm remembering correctly. He has a pre-war 1911 that he sent to Nighthawk.
Hmm.
Man, that's a work of art. I mean, I don't know that I could do that. Man, if I got a pre-war gun, I would die. But yeah, yeah, man. There's so many good 1911 builders out there, and
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that's kind of what motivated me to get into it. Was like I would hang out with these old timers, man, and they didn't just have 1911s. Like they had Novaks and they had like the legends.
Yeah.
Um, and at the time, even now, man, they're so expensive.
Yeah,
And
it was Bill Wilson, Jim Clark, Armand Swinson, Wayne Novak, all those
yeah,
guys, man. And it's good you're getting into it, because I have heard a lot of those guys have either passed on, a
hmm
lot of those legends have passed on, and the new guys are not getting into that, man. They're just not. People are
oh,
not
dude, it's
becoming,
it's the same thing with guitars and lutherie.
yeah,
All the old guys who used to do that stuff are dying off, and there's just a fraction of what they're used to. I do lutherie as well. I repair guitars. Um, but I got into it because, well, first of all, it's a work of art. Like it's to be able, and for me, it's more of the mechanical function. A beautifully feeding 1911 to me is just as gorgeous as my wife. Like I adore a beautiful feeding 1911. And I got into it just so I could get what they had without paying the money.
yes,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and
You can
that's
do
why
the work yourself, man.
that's why I don't own a custom gun, because I do my own. Like my
Mhm.
Springfield over here, I've said it often. This is not a brag, because I had wonderful teachers. I'd put that trigger against any 1911 trigger on the planet. Like it's 5 pounds, but it feels like 2. Like it's so good. The barrel lockup, it's like the thing's welded in there. Now the gun's ugly. It's beat up because I've used it, but to me, that's much more satisfying. Now, I will say a bucket list gun for me I want a Jason Burton,
Mhm.
either him or Luke Volkman. I would love to have. I don't know if you're familiar with Luke Volkman.
I'm not.
Um,
No.
yeah, he's pretty under the radar, it feels like, but he is like Swenson, Novak. To me, him and Burton are my top 2, and really because they focus on like that old style stuff. Like they don't do the super high speed looking stuff.
Right.
It's a lot of blued, gold inlay, gold bead front sights, engravings.
A finely
Just
made 1911 is a work of art. A
yeah,
work of art. You know, the funny thing is what you're talking about. You get one of those guys' guns, right? You could do almost the same treatment to a Glock, and you're like, eh, it just, to
yeah,
me, it doesn't come across. You could put gold inlay and scrolling and all this beautiful stuff all over a Glock, and you're like, it's a plastic pistol Wonder 9. Like, I don't,
yeah. I know
you do it to a 1911, like that Colt
yeah,
El Senor. I dropped that video today. I fixed it.
it's a great video
Um,
too.
it's a beautiful. When I saw it, it came across. I got an email. I think I got it from PSA. I got an email, and they're like, "Hey, what if?" And I looked at it, and I was like, "That's gorgeous," and that's one of the reasons I bought it. Like I said in some of the videos, I didn't expect it. It's not a combat gun. I'm not going to run out
Mm,
there. I'll carry it to the barbecue or something. But
yeah,
it was gorgeous. I was like, "That's cool. That
yeah,
is cool." A finely you know, etched and scroll work and gold inlay. And Colt, or the company, I don't think Colt makes them. I think these other companies commission.
yeah,
If I'm correct about this, Davidson's and was it Tallow and some of the Lipsies and some of these other big
yeah.
distributors. I think they buy the guns and then commission gunsmiths to do the work. I think that's how it works.
Mm,
I don't think Colt's doing it, but some of uh, these Sam Colt commemorative guns and the Hispanic like what's that Dias de los Muertos guns, whatever they got all
yeah,
the Aztec gold in like that. That looks so cool to me.
it is
It
cool.
just looks like
Yeah,
a fine piece of art, man. And you
yeah.
can't get that. You take a Smith and Wesson M&P, you can't church it up like that. You know what I mean? It
No,
just doesn't work for
man,
me.
I've had a Gucci Glock before,
Mhm.
and it's the most uninspiring thing on the planet for me. Like, I built. So I had a buddy of mine. Which, by the way, if anybody's into like getting their frames stippled, I haven't talked to him in a good while. But my friend Chris with Light Fighter Innovations, he's here in Florida. Um, an artist with the stipple, like really, really good. So I had him do the frame. I had the frame ported out or the slide ported out, did the comp thing. I went with, oh shoot, what's his name? Frank Proctor. He sells almost like a competition tune kit for
Uh-huh.
Glocks. I did that, tricked out all the way. It's so boring. Like it's just, and then not only that, I'm a big believer that stock Glocks. So like I don't want to go down that. I don't want to bore you with the details on the 1911 side of the house, but with Glocks, I'm a firm believer. The only thing they need is sights. Like
That's it.
they've got a recipe that just works,
Yeah.
and don't mess with it. I don't start messing with springs and comps and just
So,
shoot
so,
your gun.
so here's a controversial take for me. I
Yeah,
actually like the Glock stock sights. A lot of people
yeah.
hate them. I like put the dot in the square.
It's actually
I,
very intuitive.
I've always liked them, and they're like, yeah, you gotta get rid of them. I get it, but
Yeah.
I, I,
Well,
I
here's the
agree
thing
with you.
though.
The only times I've ever had problems with Glocks is when I start messing with them.
That's right.
Stock out of the box, I've never had problems with them. 1911 is
100%.
kind of reverse. You gotta
That's what I was
go. I
gonna
think I'm gonna
say.
have to tweak this some bitch. I think I have to
Oh,
tweak this
that's
thing.
me, man. Like
Yeah.
every 1911 that I've bought in the past 10 years, I don't even shoot it. I already know the springs are wrong. I already know the mags suck. So I throw the old ones in the garbage and I spring it properly. I go through, I deburr, make sure there's no finish buildup. But yeah, to your point, my wife's Glock, I like visually, I love the Glock stock sights as well. They're very
Mhm.
intuitive. I just put steel ones on there, but it's still the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
My only problem is that the plastic is so soft. You can,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
No, that's valid. That's 100% valid.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I agree. I think uh, we've been going for 2 hours, so we want to wrap
yeah,
this up here in the next
yeah,
10
man.
minutes or so.
Yep,
Getting back on a Colt, I think if Colt could release a 1911 using modern metallurgy and all that others, but a true like they did in 2011 for the
yep,
commemorative. And like you said, don't make it a limited edition pistol. Release a blue. You know what would make, you're right. You know what would make people go nuts? Because I would be right there in line with you. We'd be fucking tenting it up all night long outside the Colt by the gun store.
100%.
Uh, the Black Army come out with that. Come out with a regular, a true 19, and I'm talking about with the lanyard loops on the magazines, the two-tone magazine. Even if you have to fake it, because I know
Yep.
that was a heat treating thing, fake it and make an exact copy with the stamps and everything like you did before, and make one of the military one that's parkerized with the heat treating around, like we talked about in the front back. Uh, and even if you want to put a faux rack number on one of the grips, paint
Yep.
a white paint with the little 13 on it or
Yes.
Q, or people would, and make them good. Don't make
Yeah,
people
like a
would be
good
like,
forged one.
yes,
Yeah. Listen, if they came out with that, what I would really, you're familiar with Turnbull Restoration?
hundred
I
percent,
think it's Turnbull.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's them who came out with the first 500 1911s. Did you see those?
I didn't.
So the original 1911s, like when the Army first adopted them, the first
Yes.
500 had like that rear sight that was just like a half moon with a right. So they did that. They niter blued the sights, the trigger. That I want that.
Like, give me that.
Yeah, I want the first 1911. And listen, I'd pay $2,500 for it.
Yeah.
Like, but I want it to be good. I want to be able to shoot it. I don't want to worry about it. If they did that, even honestly, even like, you see this with like a lot of companies, like not just guns, but like guitars. Custom shops aren't always super busy. So what they do is they come up with like semi-custom products, right?
Yes.
To keep the custom shop busy. Do that, right? Have the Colt custom shop do some of that nice niter blue stuff on some of the parts, and if they did that, and then did a proper Mark IV reissue, not with these goofy sights. Like I'm talking like Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men. That Mark IV, brown grips, gold medallion, GI sights, like they couldn't sell them fast enough.
They couldn't. And you know what else? You just gave me an idea too. What would be fantastic is go through movies that had the 1911 or TV shows. Come out with a Longmire one, right? A Longmire.
I was just going to say that.
Yep. Come out with a Longmire 1911. Come out with the No Country for Old Men 19. Come out with the whatever, the one from freaking Untouchables and shit when they had 1911s in there. Or what's the Bruce Willis movie where he was dual wielding 1911s? That was a fantastic movie.
I can't remember.
Did you ever see that movie?
I probably. What's another, like Way of the Gun, I think is another one.
Yeah.
That
come out with those.
Yeah. There's a lot of great ones. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, I've and they can
Last Man Standing. Thank you. Somebody said it in the Last Man Standing. There's a scene in that movie where he's about to go fight these guys, and he has like 100 1911 magazines laid out on a table. I'm like, how are you going to carry all that? And he's dual wielding 1911s, and he goes through it's like a 20-minute gunfight, and he's like, pop, 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 and he's reloading and pop, pop, pop. You're like, where are you carrying 100 single stack 1911 7-round magazines?
It was that way with.
It's fantastic.
Oh, it is. It's wonderful. This is kind of a sleeper. You remember the show The Unit?
I don't.
Okay, so cheesy show. It's terrible. But the main character was played by. You remember the guy with the big deep voice, the black guy who's on the Allstate commercials?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, I love that guy as an actor. Right, he's great. So he's one of the leads in that show, and it's about Delta Force.
Okay.
And there's a scene. It's so funny, but it's also so awesome. It's as cheesy as like Steven Seagal stuff, right? So him and one other guy, that basically there's these terrorists who took over a commercial plane, and they sneak onto the plane, and this dude just headshots everybody in the plane with his 1911. And it's so good.
It's
Like,
so fantastic.
and it's like a less bear,
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's so good. Like, you can find it on YouTube, but it's so cheesy because he's literally just diming everybody with his 1911.
That is
Yeah,
amazing. They need to do that to come out with the movie series or something. But
yeah.
yeah. Uh, so
Or
hey,
you know,
thanks. Huh?
well, I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say, honestly, here, this is the one they could come out with. They could call it the York. Come out with a pre-war Alvin York model.
That would be fantastic.
That, I mean, yeah, that
That
would
would
be
be
great.
fantastic. No, that would be awesome. Oh, something that popped in my head. Did you ever? You're talking about old pistols. Is it Tim Yost, or have you ever heard of a gunsmith? I think
Yes.
it's. I can't. I think that's his name. I
Yeah.
think. That's,
Shoot, I know who you're talking about. I think you got the last name right.
I think so. I
Um,
don't know if I have the first name right. But anyway, he
maybe it's
seems to be
Alan.
mixing some great stuff from what I've
Yeah.
never held one, but just the pictures and videos I see on those, I'm like, Ted Yost. Thank you. Is it
Ted
Ted?
Yost.
Is it Ted
Yeah.
Yost?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
his stuff looks great too, man. And guys, if you want to see some more awesome, website is struggling a little bit on this guy, but DNL Sports, his name's David Lauk. Again, he was 2012 Pistol Smith of the Year.
Mm,
He runs with all those guys, the Bill Wilsons, the whatever, buddies with his son out of Gillette. Check his website. He makes some gorgeous 1911s.
yeah.
So this has been awesome, dude. We got to do it again. We definitely have to
Yeah,
do a
man.
Team Sauce one, man, where we focus on
I would
them.
love
I
to.
think in conclusion, we've come to the conclusion that we love Colt. We can't save them. They got to save themselves. They got to put themselves in rehab. Colt,
That's
you
right.
have to rehab yourself. We cannot save you.
That's right.
Um, I unfortunately am going to keep buying Colt because I'm, mentally defective like that. Some of their stuff, there's still a couple pistols on my list, but I'm also going to keep buying T-Sauce
Yeah.
and just I really quickly before we get out of here, really talking about you and I talked about focusing on the older Colt. But a lot of that stuff comes snapped up, like we said, when it gets online on these gun broker and the guns.com stuff, it gets snapped up real quick.
It does.
So it's
It
tough
does.
to get. But
Yeah.
Josh, thank you. Thanks to Baron if he sees us and keeps watching it.
Yeah, man.
This has been
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for hosting us, man. It's been
absolutely,
wonderful.
dude.
You guys are great. We've all become fast friends. So
Mhm.
really appreciate you, man.
Yep. And we're going to do this again, guys. Thanks to everybody that was here listening to us ramble on for a couple hours. And we'll see you next time, guys.